Do you guys know who Spence Waugh is?
No.
Mm-mm.
Apparently, I don't want to assume their gender, but this person is like a huge influencer, and has like 18 million followers.
Wait,
and
are
is
we
doing,
live
like,
right now, Justin?
We are now.
Okay,
Oops.
wait, but do you want to be saying all this publicly?
Well, I'm about to post a video stitching him because he's doing a bad job and spreading misinformation. So yes,
Oh, okay,
but,
yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah, go
but
for
like,
it.
like, dude is, I don't know. I hate when people with 18 million followers go on and just like literally, dude just read a New York Post headline and then made an entire video and got like 6 million views on it, and it's just spreading misinformation. It's really irresponsible.
That is really annoying.
You know, of course, like that's awful. I do think that it's indicative of like underlying problems with the structure of like incentives that exist on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Where you're incentivized to make like the AI slop content or like make shit up so it's sensational, and then you just say like a bunch of false things.
I am pleased though. YouTube has made big strides into automatically like stonewalling the mass influx of bad AI videos with voiceovers. They're getting almost no algorithm love anymore.
Good, as it should be.
Yeah, it's just not, original content will always be superior to AI nonsense. Also, friends, just in case the kitties come back, I set up a kitty cam.
That's a good way to. Oh, did you get the shot collar yet?
I'm my kitties will not be wearing a shot collar.
No,
me-
Blitz. It was a vibration collar.
Oh, okay.
Actually, most of them do both nowadays. The shot collars usually have a vibration.
Yeah, I
function.
know. That's the funny part, and by funny I mean sad,
It
because
is.
animal abuse is not cool.
Let me load up the profiles on TikTok before I forget. 1 second.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't. I'll join in just a sec. I'm trying to finish posting because I was in the middle. I'm like, oh, I have another hour. I can still post all of my stuff, but no,
Oops.
apparently I can't. So I need to go send an announcement on. And I guess I can always post it to YouTube later, but let me send an announcement on Discord really quick.
Maybe I'll be a bit bold. Maybe I'll drop my hot take.
Yeah, what's your hot take?
I think like using a shock collar is like whatever, like you probably shouldn't. But like using a shock collar to keep your dog in the exact same spot for like 6 hours a day is like absolutely insane. Like it's mind-meltingly like bonkers levels of animal abuse.
Allegedly.
If that's what happened, mind-boggling levels of animal abuse. I feel like that's
absolutely.
much worse than just like training your dog with a shock collar is like the specific circumstances of it. And then like the lying about it too. And like doubling, tripling,
Allegedly.
quadrupling down on the alleged lies about it.
I feel like
Thanks,
there's
Dr. Blitz.
a story that I'm unaware of. Is there an individual that's being...
Do you know who Hassan Piker is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so allegedly, he has a dog that allegedly he makes sit in the same spot for like 6 hours or 8 hours a day during stream for doggo cam using a shock collar.
That's horrible. Why?
Because people like seeing a dog on stream, apparently, allegedly.
That's crazy. That's madness.
Yep.
If it's true, yeah.
If it's true.
Allegedly, right. Well, I've got Dr. Blitz loaded up. Want to take the first guest?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And before we start, C-Bar, thank you so much for the $1.99 super thanks. Good to see you, my friend. I think we've got some people loading up. We got some guests loading up. We're going to grab the first one and get moving with our conversations. Noe, welcome in. Are you at least 18? And do you believe in God? Noe? You're muted right now, Noe. If you're talking, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to someone else.
No.
I thought you were Dr. Blitz or something.
No. We're talking to you. So welcome in. Are you at least 18? And do you believe in God?
I'm 51. I believe in God. I'm a Christian, yes.
Cool. And what do you think is the most convincing evidence or argument for the Christian God existing?
Okay, so why do you say Christian, like specifically? If you, I didn't want to even bring it up, but if you have beliefs that there's no God, there's nothing, it's just an accident, we're all by accident, that's where I
I
want
think
to
that
go with
follows.
it. Because here's the thing, here's the thing.
So
A
I'm
lot
hearing
of,
that you
no,
don't
hang on.
actually have an argument for the Christian
Whoa.
God then?
No, here, because
just
I
calm
don't
down.
believe in everything. I believe in dinosaurs.
Immediate
I
crash
believe in
out.
things.
Okay.
It's not a crash out. Listen to me.
Deep breath. Take a deep breath.
No, it's
Noah.
not
No one's here to attack you. You're gonna be okay. So the
We're
reason why
totally
I asked
normal.
Oh, I'm
you
fine. Thank you. Thank
about
you.
the Christian God because that's the one you believe in. That's why I didn't ask
So
you
here's
about
the thing, though,
Allah.
bro,
I didn't ask
listen.
you about
I don't believe in everything.
Brahma or Vishnu
I
or
believe.
Shiva.
No.
I asked you about the Christian God because that's the one you believe in. Do you follow?
Regardless, I believe in evolution. I'm not an idiot. I'm not some dummy that is
We
going to
didn't
say,
say
"Oh,
that you
everything happened in
don't.
7,000 years." No. But the thing is, like, I'm telling you where I was raised. I was raised as a Catholic, but I don't believe in every single thing. Like, there's no dinosaurs. It's bullshit.
Cool.
I'm not that guy. So I
Cool.
question it. That's why I'm here.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
but do you think
what's
like
the-
Yahweh is real? Do you think
There you
like
go.
Jesus is the son of Yahweh?
I need to believe it, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to say it really quickly. Hang on, you can laugh all you want. It's all
You
good.
need to believe it. We don't
No.
necessarily care if you need it. We ask what's the evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I will tell you this:
You don't know if there's a good reason to
Let me
believe in your
finish,
God?
though. I'm going to tell you the story. You asked me, I'll
We-
tell you straight up. I know you're.
But we
just
don't,
want,
we
like,
don't care about your
evidence.
story. We want to hear the evidence. Now, listen, I'm sure you have like a really compelling story where you were like in prison and you met Jesus or something, and that's great. We love that for you. But we're here about the evidence. We don't care so much about the testimonials because I can give you my atheist testimonial and it will never convert you to atheism. So your Christian testimonial will never convert us to Christianity. Did you want to try to recenter yourself, cool down a little bit and give us the evidence, or no? By the way, you are muted. I wonder if I assume he doesn't know he can unmute himself. There you go.
I know how to unmute. Thank you.
Cool.
So my point is, what happened to me was a spiritual experience. I was a jackass, a dirtbag guy. I used to beat
Yeah.
people up, take their
Yeah.
money, take their
That's
money as a
believable.
little kid.
That checks out.
It is believable, yeah. And then I didn't give a crap about religion. I didn't know shit about
Yeah.
religion. But guess what? One day I had a religious experience. Yeah, don't
sure
say
you did.
Don't come me off with your home stuffs.
Mhm.
Come on. There he goes again. So
You're doing great, sweetie.
Oh, sweetie! Wow. Okay.
We're,
I'm
we're
married.
really winning a lot
so-
of souls for Christ with this one.
Yeah. You see how this dummy. So my point is, what happened to
Got
me?
him.
I can't
Doing the
explain
Lord's
it.
work.
I don't. Hang on.
It's almost
Lord's
like
work.
he didn't listen
You
to
are
a word
bashing.
you said prior
You're
to
bashing
his
God.
testimony.
You're bashing Jesus.
Oh,
What is
no.
wrong with you?
How
Is
can
he
you bash
No,
a
wait.
fictional character?
Oh, my feelings.
No, wait, I'm the good cop here. I'm the good cop here, so you probably want to like just talk with me cordially.
Oh,
so
you're the
look,
robot. This guy's the
No,
the middle guy. Is the
I'm-
robot.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am
I'm
a
the good
robot.
cop.
I know all science. Look behind
Yeah, so,
me.
no
I
way.
know science.
Yeah, he knows all
No way.
science. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Yep,
He's
I-
very
yeah, I-
intelligent.
I know.
Dr.
And
Blitz
then
is
we got
highly
this guy, the
qualified.
femme guy.
Ask him
Yeah,
any
listen
science
to him,
question, he'll
okay?
be able to answer it
Listen to him,
instantly. He has
okay?
encyclopedic knowledge of literally every science
Christians,
fact.
add me. Christians,
true.
add me.
And then he goes
Christians, add
to
me.
the pivot
These
to
freaking
cloud
geeks
farming
don't know
is
what the hell they're
insane.
talking about. Christians, add me.
No, I was trying to have a normal conversation with you.
I'm
Just to
trying
clarify
to, but
what
you
exactly
keep
we're trying to
cutting
do.
me off.
Stream my
So, Noe.
Spotify.
You-
Stream
So,
my
Noe.
Spotify.
So hang on. You ask me
No,
a question. I start to answer
wait,
it, and
hold
you
up.
guys cut me
What-
off and
What
yell
was
at
the
me.
Noe, hold up.
question? What was the
Can I-
question?
no, wait,
'Cause
no, wait,
it
hold up.
sounds like- it
You
sounds like
wanted
did-
it
Justin, hold
here.
up.
It sounds
Both
My-
y'all had children.
Well, hold on,
Okay.
Noe. We didn't ask you for your story. We explicitly told you we didn't care about your story. So if you were listening, you would know we want the evidence, not your testimonial. Did you hear any of that the first time? What are you saying, Blitz?
Yeah, I was just trying to come across that, like, look, Noe, these two other fellas, they're going to make fun of you. But you can just
Oh, yeah.
tell me what the evidence is. I won't make fun of you. I'll listen to you give me the evidence if you just give the evidence. But the thing is if you tell a story about your conversion process, or if you tell a story about your come to Jesus moment, it just isn't going to be meaningful to us. We'd like to hear like something that we can verify, something that we can go out and test for ourselves, think through ourselves, some set of reasoning, something like that, so that we can, actually have a productive conversation. If you just said, I had this experience, it's just not going to mean much to us. So why don't you go ahead and give us the evidence, give us the proof or the argument or the historical evidence, something like that. That would be real good.
Okay, so here's the story. You asked me.
Did you hear what I said? We don't want the story.
2 words.
We don't want the story.
2 words. You're already talking over me.
We don't want a story.
Fucking words.
So
you know what? You go ahead and talk.
We don't want a story.
Because you don't.
We don't want a story.
We're talking over you because we explicitly told you on multiple occasions that we don't care about your story and we don't want a story. We want the evidence. So we would love to, if your story
Answering you kick me off.
If your story
Why kick me off? Why are you kicking me off?
We didn't kick you off.
You're still here.
Yes, you did. I said 3 words
down,
and all of a
mouth
sudden
breather.
I'm on mute.
It's gonna be okay.
Okay, so that's not being kicked off. You said you were muting yourself, by the way, and you didn't do it. So again, the reason why we stopped you isn't because we don't want you to talk. We would love for you to talk. The problem is we want you to talk about the evidence, not about your testimony. Your testimony is meaningless here. So do you have anything other than your testimony, yes or no?
Don't tell me yes or no. Let me talk. Give me some minutes.
No, I'm catching no.
Oh, no. Yes, no. Let's go back and forth.
All right, so
let's talk logically.
So
let's go back and forth. Let's talk logically. Let me tell you my 5-minute story.
Let me talk.
Yeah. So Noe, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do.
You tell me whatever you think.
So here's what we're gonna do. Okay.
Okay.
You clearly want
Christians add me up.
You clearly want to tell your story. So I'll give you 2 solid minutes to tell your story. We won't interrupt you, but then there's no more story time after that. After 2 minutes, we're done with story time, okay?
Yeah, let me get my notepad pulled up really quick.
I'm going to get my timer pulled up.
Yeah.
Go get it, Harry Potter.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Time starts now.
I'm ready.
Okay. I don't give a shit if you don't believe it or not.
And you're done. Cool.
Classic.
Fuck. I never understand why they think their story is going to be convincing.
I just wanted to hear what he had to say about like his thoughts, not like some miracle, not like he got into a car crash and like they told him that he should have been dead but he wasn't. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Tell me about your dream, how you were the blue people riding the dragons in Avatar. I don't care.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I want to hear the Avatar dragons.
Bro, I was like literally hallucinating, and here's what I saw, and now I think that this is what reality is.
Now, why did you drop me? Yeah, you know why you got dropped, Noe. You know every time you get dropped why you get dropped. All right, let me grab our super chats. We'll get our next guest in here. Looks like it's going to be Heart Rainy Cloud, and then Juanito. Duke of Shots, good to see you. Allegedly. Good to see you, allegedly, my friend. Or if you watch Letterkenny, allegedly's. Dan, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says the shock collar story was made up by people who that hate Hassan. It's not true. Interesting. I'd be curious to know.
I don't know, man. There's like some really weird clips. Like you can literally see like the controller for the collar in other clips. And then there's one where he's like sitting with a journalist. And she's like, why is this dog collar so tight? And he says, well, that's because it's and then he stops himself and then he like takes the collar and like slides it under the desk so that he doesn't like loosen the collar. He takes it off entirely and then like puts it under the desk. I don't know. Like, I just think that there's like a lot of weird things.
That is weird.
I'm not like 100% convinced that it happened, but I don't know. It certainly is strange.
It really is.
But you shouldn't be offended by shock collars if you're not a vegan.
That's true. I also think that nobody who isn't a vegan has literally any point criticizing like literally any of this.
Unless you're just a quietist about morals and you just think everybody's confused and then you can criticize whatever you want.
Well, let's grab our next 2 super chats. Nathaniel says, please tell me how to beat tag. Easy. Here's you need 1 word, 2 words in order to defeat tag.
3 words, actually.
I was gonna say prove it.
Yeah, no. It is just prove it.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's the justification for premise 1? Premise one
But
is probably like the least plausible premise, maybe
But
ever.
Ian,
Like,
but Ian, by asking that question, you're implying that there exists justification. How do you justify that there is justification on your worldview?
I think like a funny thing to do. This is like an easy like heuristic. You can just ask like every bad faith question they ask you. You can just ask the same question about God. Oh, well, how do you know that? Well, how does God know that? How does God know that he's all knowing? Like, what's the foundation for God's knowledge? You know, what's it grounded in? Is God's knowledge grounded in himself? If he's the necessary precondition for all knowledge, like that would be circular.
Everything is just is.
Yeah. There's I don't know, like there's a lot of like sophisticated responses you can give to a lot of different questions, but there's also a lot of easy responses that you can give, which is to just point out that their worldview in no way solves the problem. That in fact it's the case that God is going to run into literally all of these problems.
That is the case. We got 2 more super chats. JP, good to see you. JP says, take a shot every time caller's smoke detector battery needs changed. Friend, you're going to be drunk before lunchtime. I wouldn't even recommend it. Even with my love of Kraken, this is a bad idea. But we're glad that you're here.
I think we missed Joshua's super chat.
No, we didn't. I was saving
The
it
Matthew
for last.
24:15 one? Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
I'll explain why. Milf Wrangler, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, but have you considered I dreamed one time before? Good stuff to think about. You know, that nearly convinced me.
Never thought about it. I've never thought about it, actually.
I just barely made it out of that conversation without converting. And last one for now from our friend Joshua Shell. Says, could Justin elaborate on Matthew 24:15 and Daniel's prophetic context? So, yes. So Daniel was talking about the desolation under Antiochus Epiphanes in the 2nd century, just prior to the Maccabean revolt. And then then the town really was surrounded. It was written in post. It wasn't a real prophecy. And the reality is the entire prophecy of Daniel 9 and Daniel 12 and some of the others never came true. So they pushed it into Jesus's time period. Now, I personally believe that Jesus understood himself as fulfilling Daniel chapter 7 and 9 in the second go around, like a second fulfillment, not a primary fulfillment, which is why Jesus says this line. In fact, I'll put it on the board. The line that Jesus quotes from further on in this whole dialogue says, when you see them surrounding the city, head to the hills, basically, run to the mountains. This is a quotation that comes from from Maccabees. When the prophecy of Daniel starts to come true in the book of Maccabees, just prior to it, even my phrasing makes it sound like it's a prophecy, not a real prophecy. The prophet, or not the prophet, Judas Maccabeus yells, head to the hills, those who are zealous for the law, and join me. And then they fight against the Greeks, basically. So Jesus is repurposing Daniel's prophecy in his time period. It's not a prophecy that was originally written about Jesus's time period. You only get there from sort of secondary fulfillment. But hit me up on the Discord sometime if you want to know more. I'd love to do an in-depth breakdown of Daniel. It's my favorite prophetic book because it so easily disproves Jesus. But the live stream is maybe not the best time to go over the entire discourse of Daniel. Hope that helps.
And by the way, anytime the Maccabees come up, you just have to remember that Judas the Maccabee was literally called Judas the Hammer.
For a good reason.
Bro had such a cool nickname.
Yeah. I mean, think about the ultimate underdog battle, and that's what we saw between the Maccabean revolt in the middle of it. It was dynamite from a historical perspective, horrific for those who suffered.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was makes for a good movie though.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe they didn't have like a movie of this.
Like we need like a 21st century Steven Spielberg, like what was the movie, 1917 style film? It would do pretty well. Anyway, we should bring up the next guest.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up Heart Cloud and they're not loading. It might be a slow connection, it might not. Okay. If they don't load up, Juanito was next in line, and then I think after Juanito is Zamio, and then RS. But I don't think Heart Cloud's going to be able to connect. They've been trying to connect here for a few minutes, or 30 seconds, really. There we go. We'll move on to Juanito. We'll get somebody in the box. Welcome in, Juanito. Are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yes. I'm over 18. Yeah.
And
So
do
And
you
do you
because
believe
believe
in
in God?
God?
yes, kinda. So I was just
So,
from
It's a
another
good
life.
start.
Yeah.
are you agnostic?
Well, yeah, kind of bordering. So I was just on another live where a atheist. We were
Okay.
talking about the nature of
So,
consciousness.
do you disagree with our prompt?
Uh, I don't know. That's why I'm here. I want to ask you guys
Okay.
because I've reached a point. Yeah.
We are looking for people to debate that specifically do disagree with us. So, as
Yeah.
much as we'd
So
love to
yeah.
have
So
a conversation with you, we're not going to. We're going to move on to an actual theist. Thank you for coming and thank you for watching. We appreciate that.
Yeah, if you want to be convinced that God doesn't exist, you're welcome to stick around, but we're really only looking for people who are theists. It's a much more interesting
Or
conversation than
maybe deists. Deists may be allowed.
yeah. Well, I feel
Now,
like the criteria for deists, and this is just for me, right? Like, I'm willing to debate a deist if they could name me like 3 contemporary philosophers, like just somebody who knows something. I'm not interested in debating people that just like know nothing.
Yeah,
understand
that's
that.
fair.
Welcome in. Is it Zamiel?
Zamil.
Zamil. Nice.
Very good. Zamil, are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Age shouldn't matter if you believe in God or not.
It
Well, you
does.
Well, that's
sound above
the
18,
topic.
but that's
Yeah.
like
You
the
guys are
wrong
retarded.
answer, bud. You got to be. Wait, what did he
All
say?
three of you. Dude on bottom definitely swallows for the dude on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I didn't hear an answer to the question. I mean, you can come up here and complain and act like a child. I mean, it's good for clicks, but the reality is we still need an answer to the question on whether or not you believe in God. Do you believe in
Yeah.
God?
I don't believe in God. I don't believe in.
Okay, cool. Well, you're in the wrong place then. We're talking to people that believe in God. Congratulations,
Yeah.
though. You made everyone. You just won everybody over. We had
Yeah.
some good crashes out.
You will know them by their fruits.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. That is the case. Let me grab. We got three super chats. We'll get our next guest in here. Humphrey says NRSV Study Bible, the best to purchase for study. Yeah, get the New Oxford Annotated Study Bible. It's the best. The formatting sucks. Not everybody knows how to use white space properly. They'll figure it out one day. Says thoughts, please. Rock hard for Doug. Unapologetic Sundays are the best days. Well, thank you for being here, Humphrey. Yes, get the New Oxford Annotated 5th edition if you're patient. The 6th edition is on pre-order. It'll come out in the early spring, but they're cheap. I would get the paperback of the 5th edition for what, $20, and then when the 6th edition comes out, get that too. They're both going to be amazing. And
Justin, do you
Garba
have any-
Gaiman.
Oop, do you have any thoughts on the SBL Study Bible?
Yeah, it's okay. I've got it. First of all, the print and publishing of the SBL Study Bible is embarrassing. If I published that thing, I'd be embarrassed of it. That being said, the actual study notes are pretty good. There's a couple situations where they do dive into minor apologetics, which I didn't care for. Like, for example, they admit that the firmament basically is a hard dome, but they go into this goofy ass talking point about how it only existed prior to the flood of Noah and then it ceased to
Gotcha.
exist after that. Like, okay,
Tell
that's
that
a
to the flat
bullshit
earthers.
apologetic. Yeah, I know, right? So they do some goofy stuff like that because they have to admit what they know from academia,
Sure.
or else they can't be a good academic study Bible. But they do try to be like, well, but also here's some bullshit so you don't sound stupid among your friends.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
But it's not a bad study Bible. It's just not my favorite.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Garba Gaiman, thank you so much for the super chat. It says there's an old video of Hassan mistreating his previous dog named Fish. Open neck wounds from an extremely tight collar. Holy shit. This might be a real friends. This is disappointing.
Allegedly.
Yeah. I
Allegedly.
don't know. This is bringing out like a lot of disagreements among folks. I
Looks
don't
like I
know.
got some
Maybe we
research to
simply
do.
don't talk about it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Daniel says, "Can you tell me how to beat the Nameless King?" Do you guys know who the Nameless King is? I don't.
Yeah, I think that you're just supposed to send out a homing beacon for I can solo her, or I can solo
Oh.
him, or whatever their username is, and then some guy that's naked carrying a sword will come and beat him for you. That's what I've heard. I think.
Dope. All right, we're gonna get FNU in here next. Have we talked to RS on YouTube a few times? I feel like we've talked to RS, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay. FNU,
Hi.
welcome in. Are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yes, I am 18 and I do believe in God. And
Cool. Which God do
why
you believe in?
Allah, Muslim God?
Cool. So what's the best evidence or argument for the Muslim God being real?
Well, the best argument for the God to exist is as itself, a human, that conscious, the soul that He gave it to us, and the universe itself that made is been made by God. So that's
Yeah.
my
Sure.
theory
So you're
about
basically
God
saying
being
like God
God
exists
being.
because like the universe exists and God made it?
Yes.
That's circular.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. You're
It certainly
presupposing that
is.
God exists in the premise that God created it. If you're setting out to prove that God exists, surely one of your premises can't be God exists and He created the universe. That's what you're trying to establish.
Yes, but that's not the only thing that he did. That's not the only reason that he exists. There's a lot more to it just because of the universe. You can say that God doesn't exist because of this and that, but that doesn't make it right. But because
So
I believe in what I say is that yes, God does believe because of this and that.
yeah,
Logic
any
doesn't work
evidence
with
that takes
God,
the form
okay?
like God
Logic does not
exists
work when
because
it
God
comes to
exists and
God.
He
God
did
has to have the
XYZ thing
facts.
is just going to be an
No,
instance of a
God has to have
circular
facts.
argument.
Logic
Do
does
you
not
have
work
like a
when it
piece
comes
of
to God.
evidence that
You
doesn't
have
just
to have
presuppose the
facts.
existence of God?
Ian, do you
I'm
happen to
sorry, I
have
wasn't
your
listening to
power
your
strip?
question, but God does not. God does not.
Yeah,
God
I
is
want
not
to
a
see the power
logic.
strip.
God is a fact.
Yeah, God is not a fact until you can demonstrate it.
I don't know
It
where to
is
put it.
demonstrable. You are here. That is God. God made you. He
Prove
gives you
it. Demonstrate
conscience. He
that.
gives you a
That's
soul.
what's the
He
evidence for
gives you a
that?
purpose,
That
and
certainly
to
is
be
your
here when you're
presupposition.
talking
What's
to
the
me. This
evidence
is
for
God,
it?
man.
I
Like,
totally
so
agree that
why?
that's what you believe, but what's the basis for the belief?
Well, here's
Yeah.
the basis for
Hey,
the belief.
FNU, can you tell me why this power strip isn't working?
Because you haven't plugged them into the source of it, into the
Oh,
plugger.
so okay, so it's circular.
You would need to plug it into
Okay,
something other
so
than
you
itself,
you can have
You
a
need to justify
God or
God's
the
existence in something other
combine
than the
compare it to
existence of
things.
God.
What
You can't
about that?
compare God to a things or to electricity.
Yeah, we
God
can.
is a power. Okay,
FNU, we're
you
not
can
we're
do
not
that.
comparing God to electricity. We're comparing your argument to electricity.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Your
you guys,
argument is
you guys.
circular. There's no foundation to it.
Well, but hey, well, why don't you tell me that God is not real then?
We're waiting for
Like,
you to give us a reason why God is real. Like we don't assume he's real just because we want to believe it's real. We would need an actual piece of evidence or an argument leading to God's existence. That's what we're waiting for.
so the universe is not good enough for you?
You haven't given us anything. Whether or not it's
Yeah.
good enough is irrelevant until you give us something to consider. So what would be a piece of evidence or an argument that would warrant a belief in God?
Like, look up at the sky. That is the piece of
Mm.
argument that God does exist for me. Look at
That
the earth, man.
Innovative.
that
Look
is
at
a
It's like
you,
an
brother.
innovative
convincing
addition to the
look at
Look
classic.
at a
It's like
human
argument.
part
being
2 to look at
that
the
Yeah.
gives me
trees.
that God exists, and look
A
at the air.
rhetorical titan here. Look up.
Yeah.
Look out the fucking window. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Exactly. The God is
How do fucking
right out
magnets
there,
work?
my
What
man.
about that shit? Oh my goodness.
You can't tell me
Actually,
God is not real just because you guys don't believe in it or you guys
So
believe too much in. Do you
Yeah,
guys
so I
watch too
look
much science
outside and I
fiction
see like
movies
we
kids with
believe in
and
cancer
Marvel
and
things.
movies?
shit.
That's why
Why would
probably.
God
Are you guys
allow
like
kids
fan
to
of
get
Marvels and
cancer?
shit?
Yeah, FM. So I'll ask you maybe for what I can assume is the last time. Do you have an actual evidence or argument for God being real, or do you just assert that God is real without any evidence?
No, there is. I do believe in word of God, which was sent the Quran, and a newer
Right.
word I would say hashtag,
Nope.
a
I
slash
didn't.
Bible,
Nope.
which is that's
Try this again. F. I didn't ask what you believe. We already know what you believe. We're
Yeah.
asking what's the evidence that what you believe is true. That's what we're looking for. Because I could just say, listen, I believe that the Vedas are true. Just saying that I believe something is true is not taking it like an evidentiary position with an argument. So we're looking for the evidence or an argument that would support what you believe. Do you have something like that, or do you just want to like reaffirm your beliefs? I don't think I'm not a prophet, but I don't think he actually has an argument. And he doesn't know how to unmute himself, apparently.
There's like a cool little unmute button. It's at the bottom of the screen. Just press it. The microphone is like a slash through it. You gotta make that microphone unslashed. It's at the bottom of the screen. It's like kind of in the center. You got this. I believe in you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, I got it. See, believe itself as a word, from a God. So how do you believe in something if it doesn't exist?
Kids believe in Santa Claus, but he doesn't
exist. If there wasn't
exist.
a God, how does he exist? The world itself exists.
If there wasn't a God, how does he exist?
You're right. He doesn't.
Got it.
He got us.
We got it.
Smart pants. Okay. I mean, you guys are good at your own place. I'm good at my own. I think God exists, but if you guys don't believe, that is okay.
Why would we believe? That's what we're asking for. Why would we believe that God exists? What would be the evidence that would lead somebody to that conclusion?
I think it's telling that all these religious people are baffled by the concept of evidence. They have no idea what it is.
It's
so
really
Some miracle
worrying.
needs to happen for you guys, so you guys can tell if it's real or not.
No, we're not.
Don't
We're
you
not
guys
asking
see
for a miracle. We're
don't
asking
you
for
guys see
evidence.
climate change?
We actually don't need a miracle. We just need evidence.
Climate change? What?
Climate change, yeah, like everything that changes in the world is according to God's will. So
It
So
is God's
God's
will that the world will be uninhabitable in 100 years?
God's causing climate change. This is God doing it.
It's God's will that 100 dolphins were just found dead in a lake in the Amazon because the water got over 100 degrees?
God said, I'm tired of all this fucking coral reef. Get out of here. I'm going to acidify the ocean now.
Oh, man,
And it's gonna be in direct correlation with all of this CO2 they're emitting, but there's no causal connection.
God just gets mad about us emitting CO2, and so he just turns up the temperature knob.
No, I think.
So is that all you got? Did you have anything else, or is that pretty much it?
No, I think I'm good. I think I made my point, and you guys
Yep.
agreed to it, right? God does exist.
Yeah, we definitely
Yep,
agreed
definitely
to it. That's
agreed.
exactly what happened. I'm sure every single member of the audience
Awesome.
is going to come away with the
as
same
long as
opinion.
we have common ground. I'm okay with that.
Real dynamite.
Absolutely.
Point.
Yeah.
Real dynamite point. Okay. Well, thanks for coming
Yeah.
up, FN, and be well. Okay. Let's move on. Hopefully we'll.
Before
get
we move
somebody
on,
with
A,
some
we have super chats. B, there's like hundreds of y'all watching on YouTube and on TikTok. You guys should be subscribing. Like, the vast majority of you are not subscribers. You should be subscribing, following, whatever the word is. Make sure to do that.
All right. Let me grab a couple super chats. We'll get our next guest pulled in here. So much. Thank you to Aaron. Aaron, thank you for sending out 10 unapologetic gifted memberships.
People are saying that the
Huge
audio is
W.
fucked.
What? Where on?
People are
TikTok
saying the
or
audio
YouTube?
is fucked
TikTok or YouTube?
on YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Y'all put a 1 in the YouTube comments if the audio is fucked. What do you mean by the audio is fucked?
Somebody's just saying that Ian's clipping.
Yeah. I turned my gain down a little bit. Let me know.
Give me 1 second. It might have just been your gain was a little hot. Is it just one mic or is it everybody? A lot of people were saying it's fine. It might have just been.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Ian's
it's
mic was
okay.
clipping. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Dope. Fantastic. Anyways, Aaron, thank you so much for sending out 10 gifted membership. We really appreciate that, friend. Good to see you. And Dr. Dave, great to see you as well. Rock Hard for Doug and Simply Wet for Sharon. After the Babble says, test every spirit. Why are we wrong to test Holy Spirit? Great job, fellas. That's actually a really good point, because if we're told to test the spirits, it doesn't matter what nonsense you come up here with. We're supposed to test you. The Bible tells us to test you. And Juno says, do you think that the historical Jesus was cut or had a dad bod? If I had to guess, he was probably scrawny.
He was a carpenter. You got to be strong to be a carpenter.
I don't know. He got hung up on wood and couldn't get down. If anyone knows how to get
I mean,
off
he didn't
of
have
a
his
wooden
he didn't have his
cross-
saw. He didn't have his saw, his hammers, like his hands were occupied.
Maybe. Well,
Do you think one day Jesus sat down and just did like 30 crunches?
I don't think he did.
It's like part of his morning routine. That's how he got so fucking jacked. That's how he
I mean,
got
have you seen
yoked.
Korean Jesus?
Yeah. He has like the cum gutters.
I am not a
Can't
believer
say that
in,
on stream.
in yoked Jesus. I don't think that's the case, but maybe he was. I don't know. I'm going with scrawny, only eating bread and wine. Duke Shasta, good to see you again, says, "Watch me cook, Justin. God did justly punish the guilty party, David, by damaging his property on the roof." I mean, that's the way the Bible reads. By the way, were they true wives or concubines? They were concubines, like the servant slave thing. Who would be their heir then? Okay, so this is complicated because concubines were considered wives, but they were second tier wives. It's like they were a wife, but
They have to subscribe for like 10 pieces of silver a month to go up to the higher tier.
Yeah, they had a different role within the family, but they were definitely still wives. They were just more like sex slave wives. Godwin, thank you so much for the $2 super chat, says, "Cheers to the 3 gifts of the Magi. Keep cooking." Well, thank you, Godwin. We appreciate that. And the musical monkey, good to see you, says, "How much way could Yahweh weigh if Yahweh could weigh?" And this is fantastic.
I think
And,
canonically infinite.
You would have to say so, right?
Infinite's not a number.
A never-ending amount, Dr. Blitz.
Oh boy, we've done it again. We started an internal debate. Miss
I've been
Pickle,
nerd
thank you
sniped.
for the $10 super chat. Says shock collars is real. Too tight collar on previously dog to point of breaking dog skin is real. Hassan
No comment. No comment. We have no
Glazers.
comment.
just regoated mega Bible apologetics weird behavior allegedly. We don't know.
Everything
No
is
comment.
alleged.
No comment.
Everything is alleged.
We don't know this to be the case, Miss Pickles. I haven't looked into it. I've just heard about it today. But we can say that we denounce animal abuse here. Not for
We
it.
can say that we encourage you guys to keep fighting about it in the super chats.
No,
Sure.
that's a bad strategy. You want them to stop doing that. Otherwise, it'll like burn through. Like, I bet it will lead to like a lot of super chats, but like then those people will just leave because they're angry.
Hello?
Perhaps.
Oh, good point. Yeah, we don't want that. All right, well, we have PSL.
PSL, welcome
Hello,
in. Are
everyone.
you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yes, I'm 18 and I believe in God, particularly Islam.
Cool.
Okay.
And what is the greatest evidence or argument for the God of Islam being real?
I think the greatest evidence is like the cosmological, which is the Kalam argument. So that core idea is that like everything that begins to exist has a cause, and we already know that, right? So the universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. And I think this is like supported by like modern cosmology. Like Big Bang suggests a finite beginning to time and space. And this like
Does it?
I think it's just like I think this raises like the question like why is there something rather than nothing?
Look, so
the problem is
There's kind of two things happening here, right? So first, there is a deep question of why is there something rather than nothing, but that applies to basically every worldview. I mean, like, I could equally well ask, why is there, in your worldview, why is there a God and a universe rather than nothing at all? Like, why does God even exist, right? And so saying, we need a God to answer that question just doesn't help us. But more than that, like, the general view amongst cosmologists is that the Big Bang says nothing about whether or not the universe has a beginning. Like, this is just, maybe this was the consensus in the 80s before inflation was proposed by, Guth and Steinhardt, I think. But it's just not the consensus view anymore. It's pretty outdated.
so wait, so you're basically saying maybe the universe didn't begin, it could be eternal or like cyclical?
Yeah, or perhaps there's some sort of like timeless state that like causally or not causally, but ontologically precedes it, or all sorts of possibilities. The point is that we don't really have evidence that there's an actual beginning proper.
But no, there is scientific evidence that supports the beginning, like the Big Bang cosmology. Like
How does
time and
that support a
space.
beginning?
Time and space began at the singularity. It's 3.8 billion years ago.
This
Even
the singularity is not agreed upon to exist by most cosmologists.
okay, well, even the multiverse theories, like they rely on a deeper beginning.
Well, no, they don't. Not necessarily.
How?
Like Big Bang cosmology is a story about how the universe has changed since about 13.8 billion years ago, but it doesn't make any propositions about the universe having a genuine beginning. It doesn't really make any claims. Go ahead.
So where does this 3.8 billion years ago claim come from? It's saying
13.8.
that time,
The 13.8 billion years ago claim comes from how long ago it was that the universe was very, very small, right?
okay. I also want to say like you said, like maybe the universe didn't have a beginning, but quantum nothing isn't actually nothing, right? So like
Who said anything about
flux-
quantum nothing? Who said anything about that?
I'm just responding to your claim that you're saying maybe the universe didn't begin.
Okay, but how are you responding to that by bringing up something I didn't say?
I'm bringing up another argument.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's more like a straw man, right? You know.
Yeah.
I don't think Blitz said that he believes in that. So
Okay,
to
if
characterize
most
his
people believe in that,
position
yeah,
as this
I have
thing
no
that he
point.
like never claimed to hold, I mean, maybe you
Okay.
should, if you're confused about what Blitz thinks happened, maybe you could just ask him.
Okay, well, if you don't, like, then I might as well not bring it. So, what do you have to say about like the fine tuning argument, which is the physical constants of the universe are exquisitely like fine tuned for life? So, what's your stance on the fine tuning argument?
Yeah, so
Like,
I mean, I take a scientific approach to this one. Ian will probably take a philosophical approach, and Justin will probably just kick you off. But I mean, think about it this way: like when we want to come to conclusions about the way things are, typically we take more than one sample. So if you, I don't know, if you made the claim that if you've never seen any planet before, and you'd say, we are on a planet and there is life, therefore we can come to the conclusion that all planets have lives. Well, no, that's not a reasonable conclusion. You need to take more data before you can come to any conclusion about the frequency that a certain thing happens. The trouble is we live in a single universe with a single set of constants. So how can we say anything about how unlikely these constants are, or whether or not these constants could have been different, or what these constants could have been? It seems like we're making a whole lot of unjustified assumptions based off of a single piece of data.
Okay, but that's saying like we're here because we can be. That explains why we observe it, but it's
Wait,
not why it's
that's
possible.
not at all what I said.
That's what you said. You say we're here because we can be.
I didn't say those words.
No, it's like
saying we're in a-
exactly what Blitz said. Blitz was like, "Well, it just is, dog."
Look, maybe I'll just reiterate. The point is that maybe the universe is fine-tuned, maybe it's not. We can't infer whether that's the case from a single piece of data.
Okay, so you're saying that we just have a lack of like understanding.
What I'm saying
Like
is that
about-
you have a single data point, and you're saying all of a sudden, you're saying that from this data point, we can infer what all of the other possibilities were.
He's saying that the
Okay, that
correct
makes sense.
position, if I'm understanding the argument correctly, he's saying the correct position is that we should be agnostic as to whether or not we live in
Absolutely.
a finely tuned universe.
Yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
I'm saying. We should all be agnostic. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
reason
you
to
should be
say there's
agnostic
no
about
God,
the universe
God
being
doesn't
finely
know.
tuned. Yep.
I know, but I think there's like a moral argument too in this. Like, if objective morality exists, like it requires like a transcendent moral like lawgiver, right? So we do
Why should I
perceive
listen to
objective
God?
morality.
Let's say I think God is real. Why ought I do what God tells me?
Because the God made the laws, like for the Quran.
Yeah, but why ought I listen to them? What?
Because
Why
they're
am I
the-
morally
they're-
obligated to listen to them? Where does that moral obligation come from?
From nature, because nature
From- Specifically, what? Like, what reason do I
Like
have to
human
listen to what
evolution.
God tells me to do?
because they're right.
Because it's right. That's circular.
Yeah, it's objective morality.
No, it's not. It's circular. You're just saying, like, you need to listen to it because it's reason giving. Your reason is that it's reason giving. It's not a reason. You need to give some sort of reason in everybody's worldview. If you're claiming universal ethics, then you would need to establish a universal obligation which means every single person would need some sort of reason to listen to what God tells them. So unless you can identify the reason, your morals are subjective. You need to subjectively decide to listen to God. You don't have like some sort of necessary reason to listen to him.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I can really respond to that. I think you got me. All right.
Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
I'll say, but I'm leaning more towards agnostic, really.
Based
Cool.
an agnostic build. Do it.
But I don't think I can say like God isn't real like 100% because that's just not like science. Like we all know, science doesn't disprove the existence of God.
But maybe philosophy does, you know? Maybe we would say that, for example, a cause needs to either be before or during its effect, but God, a being outside of time, is not before or during any effect, which means that God is not the cause of anything. So a God couldn't possibly exist because a thing outside of time can't cause a thing into existence.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. All right. Peace out.
Yep, have a good one.
Later, Gator. Justin, you're muted.
Oops.
You know, what the thing is like, I appreciate him coming up with arguments. What's really frustrating, though, is when they fold, like, instantly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, they're being honest at least, right?
Yeah, and, like, that's a good thing. But, like, you know, we do that. I don't know about you guys. I do this for the love of the game. I want some pushback, right?
I
So-
agree with that.
The audience wants pushback for sure. Yeah, we're with you there.
Don't judge me. This is Tylenol. I'm taking Tylenol. It's not drugs.
Are you pregnant?
Would never.
He's gonna fucking give it to his kids.
Well, we got it already. It's fine. It's
You know it.
inevitable now.
You know it. Absolutely.
Let me grab some super chats, friends. We'll get our next guest in here. The Curious Atheist. Good to see you. Thank you for the $10 super chat. It says it's curious that in Judaism they aren't afraid to fight with God all day, every day. Versus simps for Jesus who have their lips so far up his thorny crown they can't taste what he had for Passover dinner. That is the case, actually. And I mean, I'll never understand, like you, why Christians can't read the Bible and be like, well, I don't know about that, right? Like, they feel like if they question God in the slightest, that somehow, like, they're going to get sent to hell. I think the reason is, in Judaism, there's not this idea that, well, you're just going to go to hell. Like, the whole goal is to avoid getting torched for eternity. That's a hallmark characteristic of Christianity. Judaism wasn't based on the fear of hell, which is why they're not afraid of arguing with God, you know? And Nomadic, thank you so much for the $19.99 super chat. Says, what's with the claim abiogenesis violates second law of thermodynamics? Wouldn't matter coalesce into structures that make increasing use of available energy? Emergence of life is an expression of the law, not its violation, no?
Yeah, so this is actually something that's, like, criminally misunderstood. And I made a video about it, but I don't think it was a great explanation. Roughly speaking, complex life, or life in general, is actually really, really good at increasing the entropy of any given system, right? You can think of it this way. The sun, the radiation that the sun gives to the earth is in some sense low entropy energy. It's orderly because it's high energy. It's small amounts of high energy packets. So there's few, relatively speaking, photons, but they're high energy. And so that can be then used and converted into low energy photons. Now, if that light just hit the ground, it would heat up the ground and the ground would give off infrared radiation, and that would increase the entropy of the universe, but it would happen fairly slowly. On the other hand, if you photosynthesize, you're converting that energy much more quickly and increasing the entropy of the system much more quickly. So just generally speaking, life is really good at increasing the entropy of a system faster than if there wasn't life there at all. So yeah, I mean, in some sense, this abiogenesis, or life perhaps more generally, is just a really, really good way of producing entropy. It's a really, really good way of using up free energy, if you will.
Blitz, maybe I'm just a stupid mouth breather that doesn't know anything about anything.
We grant this.
But would it be like an example, like the fact that humans would make use of like fossil fuels, like these things that would have been like sitting around in the earth for, I don't know, man, like billions of years, but we just like use them up like really quickly? Would that be in the same vein as like increasing entropy?
Yeah, so that's actually what life does. So the energy in, energy out budget of the Earth is fixed basically by thermodynamics. Like it gets energy from the sun and then the Earth radiates energy. But what life manages to do is it manages to take stored energy that's like in the form of chemical bonds and stuff that's buried in the Earth that would otherwise take billions of years to get used up, and it just uses it up way more quickly. And fossil fuels are an example of that.
In the end, it turns out I did know something.
Turns out.
Well, thank you so much for the super chat, Nomadic. It spurned some good conversations. And Ianto, thank you for the $20 super chat. It says the 3 Muska studs. Hello. Hey, we appreciate that, friend. We really do. And Nomadic again with another super chat. If it will load. There we go. Maybe. I clicked. There we go. Nomadic says also, can we all agree an omniscient God would know what it would feel like to take a big clock in the mass? Yeah, I mean, he would have to. That's the omniscience problem, right? But Christians and other people want to say, no, he couldn't know that.
Wait, is this like I think I'm unfamiliar with the slang. Is this what I think it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's like an open debate about like whether or not he knows like experiential claims. Like there's like kind of like two different sorts of knowledge, you know, like the knowledge of like what it's like to ride a bike, like qualia knowledge. It's like an open question. I know that there's like some theologians that would reject that he has knowledge of this, but that's certainly
Really?
strange for an all-knowing being to not have.
Like you'd
Like,
be telling
he
me
has
that like he doesn't
propositional
know how to
knowledge, but
like he doesn't know how to
know.
ride a bike.
Well, he doesn't know what it's like to. Like he could tell you in like propositional form like exactly what you ought
Well,
to if your goal is
isn't-
to ride a bike.
isn't
but
there a
he
Mary's
doesn't
room
know
problem
what
here,
it's
then?
like to do it.
Isn't there a Mary's room problem here?
Could you lay that out more?
Well, I mean, like, it just seems super analogous. Like, you know, the classic Mary's room example is, you know, Mary knows everything about the color red, knows all of the science, all of the neuroscience, everything, but has never experienced it. And so you would say that Mary just doesn't know what red is.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with like Mary's room.
Right, and this just seems exactly the same. Like, God just doesn't know what riding a bike is.
Oh, sure, yeah, that there's like the same like epistemic gap.
Yeah, yeah.
Between like the facts and like
God doesn't know what
qualia.
red is, right?
Yeah, that certainly does make the foundation for qualia strange in the Christian worldview.
Especially if God is the grantor of qualia, right?
Yeah, certainly. Or another good one to think about, like, does God know what it's like to not know something?
Logically impossible.
Yeah,
Next
like
question.
where does that qualia come from? Like you might say like, well, he can't do that because he can only do things that are logically possible, and that would be a contradiction. But like, where does that qualia come from then? Like, what's the source of it?
Does each individual qualia need a source? An independent source? A cause, if you will?
I don't think anyone
Anyway.
knows anything about qualia. I think it's all gibberish.
All right. Hey,
Absolutely.
should we debate some guests?
No. No,
Just
get 'em
keep
all outta
sending.
here.
Oh, by the way, just keep sending super chats, and Ian and I will just keep rambling, and then Justin will be upset.
We're gonna get there, friend. Duke, thank you for the super chat. It says same as everyone. I'm sorry, same as everywhere. Then Egypt had singular top tier, the great royal wife, sister, aunt. Gods have no choice but to do this sort of thing, you know. I mean, kind of, yeah. Like, so if you have a pantheon, everybody wants a god that represents their interests, which is why you end up with so many diverse gods within these pantheons, because, you know, people have a desire for a god that will understand their life, their issues, the things that they need. And so you make a god to fulfill that role. And last one from Nanoa, thank you for the super chat, says, over the last couple of weeks, I've realized Ian is hilarious. We all agree.
Thank you.
The dry comments are so quick and deep. That is the case.
Thank you.
Specifically accurate, very accurate. And last one from Isaiah, thank you for the super chat, says, can you explain an infinite regress for an eternal universe? Logical, absurdity, or not? Also, couldn't a deity become temporal? I feel like we addressed this a lot.
I don't know, Blitz, do you want to... I have something to say about, like, the becoming temporal, but...
Yeah, I mean, look, so the struggle with the whole infinite regress thing is that there's a question about whether it's logically possible. And the issue is just that generally we consider that something is logically possible until a contradiction is provided. And you can ask theists all you want, what's the contradiction? What's the P and not P? And they'll never give you one. They want to claim that there's like some metaphysical impossibility that just like, it just can't be, it doesn't make, but they'll never give you, like they'll give you some intuition pumps. They'll be like, but like when did it start? Like, it's just nothing. There's nothing there.
So the hotel is both full and also can accommodate infinity more people?
Yeah, checkmate, finitists.
Yeah, I don't know. That is the nature of a thing like that. By the way, how many numbers are there?
Oh boy.
But sure, in terms of like the becoming temporal, I'm skeptical that an atemporal thing is the sort of thing that can cause. I think maybe something that's atemporal can stand in other relations, like a grounding relation, which is just like a metaphysical determination. I don't think that like an atemporal thing can change. So to go from atemporal to temporal is the type of thing that would certainly require like a change. But if you're atemporal, then you can't change. I was unchanging and then I changed to being changing is kind of like the claim that they would end up making. And I think that that's kind of gibberish. In fact, it's probably just a direct contradiction.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. All right, let's grab our next guest, and we're going to keep the conversation flowing. We've talked to RS before, but we promised to bring in RS. So we'll grab RS, and then we'll grab someone from our TikTok queue. Welcome back, RS. RS, we already know that you're at least 18, assuming you're the same RS we talked to last time. Yeah, but we forget a little bit about what your God belief is, though. What's your God belief?
And I'm still discovering, but I'm trying to argue some sort of argument from consciousness. And
we've
yeah.
talked to you twice on the topic of consciousness,
Sure.
didn't we?
Yeah, we can change it if you like. That's
right,
what
so
I've come prepared with. But
good, because I know that Ian and Blitz are both delightfully pleasant and would have a conversation with you, but I'm not going to do a third conversation on the same topic.
Seconded.
Yeah, unless you have something groundbreaking to bring up. But it sounds like they're vetoing it regardless. So
yeah, sure. I mean, I went down a rabbit hole and I thought I would solve the hard problem of consciousness, and I realized it's not really that easy. So I'm happy to move to a different.
In fact, one might say it's hard.
Yeah. In fact, it's almost like it's the widely considered one of the least I don't know,
easy?
Progressed problems.
Maybe?
Like one of the problems that we've made the least progress on in philosophy. Where kind of at the state of things right now, all of the answers are just a little bit crazy.
Sure. I mean, I did have a premise, conclusion thing ready, but I'm totally fine. We can debate something else, morals or.
Well, that's up to
God
you.
temporal?
You've got
Just
to
not
pick the argument.
consciousness.
Just not consciousness. Okay, sure.
Yep.
So, you were asking, is God temporal, and then does he go from, or does he change from being in time to out of time? So I'd maybe try to.
So sounds like you want to debate whether or not God is outside of time.
Yeah, or is it a contradiction that God can exist and have created time?
Sure.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. So would you agree that a cause is before or simultaneous to its effect?
Yeah.
Sure. Then you would agree what it means to be outside of time is that you're not tensed. That is to say, you're not before or simultaneous to anything.
I'm tense.
Kind of. I think there's a bit of abstraction, but let's say I agree for now.
Then that just means that God can't be the cause of anything. If a cause is before or simultaneous to its effect, and God is not before or simultaneous to effects, then God's not a cause.
So imagine I'm sure you know about the author analogy, where you can write a book and the book has a timeline. The character is developing from childhood to adulthood or whatever, and you're not actually in that same timeline, and you can observe the timeline in the book, but the character in the book might say, well, I can like be aware of God's presence right now, or my author's presence right now, and then a year from that, in the story, a couple pages on, he's like, I'm still aware of God's presence. So God has been present for the last few years, but actually you're not in the same timeline. So, but you've still caused that timeline. So, in the sense that we don't exist, God doesn't exist bound by our timeline, but He can still have caused us.
The problem is that the thing you're describing quite literally doesn't exist. That's the disanalogy between an author and God, is that we exist, whereas like the characters in a book don't.
Wait, hold on. No, that's not the mistake. I mean,
I'm
that's
sorry,
perhaps
maybe I
a
missed
mistake.
it.
Yeah, no, the mistake is that the author still exists in time, just a
That too.
different kind of time.
That too.
Yeah, sure. If we are writing a book, we are in time, but you can imagine I've heard you say, Ian, before that your definition of time is the progression of existence. If God's existence doesn't progress and He is in a constant state of actuality or whatever, then He doesn't experience time like we do.
That's great. That just doesn't reject a premise, though.
What's the premise?
Premise 1 is that a cause is before or simultaneous to its effect. Premise 2 is that if God's outside of time, He's not before or simultaneous to anything. Thus, if God's outside of time, He's not the cause of anything.
Sure. So, can you be the cause of some? So, okay, the type of cause that you're talking about is like dominoes falling. So this domino topples onto this domino.
Causes in general.
Well, you could have a cause like, why do I see this shape in front of me? And you could say, well, it's because the light is hitting my eyes, but then there's a different type of cause where one is after the other in time. A cause could be like, well, the light has reflected off of that. It's the physical property of that material that has resulted in this phenomena of me seeing the object. It's not necessarily, it's related, or it's the type of argument for, I think, the cosmological argument, where it's not necessarily before in time, but what's the underscoring principle.
You're talking about grounding or some sort of like ontological explanation, but that's not what a cause is.
Yeah.
So are we defining causes as strictly temporal?
I mean, that's how it's usually understood.
Well, I mean, I like to sometimes use the word.
I think they have to
cause.
be, don't
they? I actually have no idea what an atemporal cause would even be.
Well, I tried to explain a type of cause, but Dr. Blitz has used a different word, grounding. It's like a fundamental property that thing relies on to take place, but it doesn't necessarily have to be before it in time.
Yeah, it's like metaphysical determination.
Sure.
So you would say like the fact that there is an even prime number is grounded in the fact that 2 exists. And that's like probably, it's like a dependence relation, but it's like an atemporal dependence relation.
Well, in the rabbit hole that I got into trying to defend consciousness, I also came across that maths might not be Platonic or like pre-existing. So the fact that there's an even prime number is just a consequence of our, like the way we describe the numbers around us, the world around us. So,
but certainly you think God believes that there's an even prime number, right?
Well, certainly God
and that's grounded in the fact that He believes that 2 exists. And that He's always done that. So I think the theist is like almost certainly committed to the position that math exists like eternally.
Right. I believe math. Well, I don't have a reason at the moment to believe that math doesn't exist. I'm sure you're familiar with abstract algebra. You can create any set of rules for mathematical objects to operate on one another, and you might invent one where addition doesn't apply, or only multiplication applies, or something like that. So God is maybe aware of all possible mathematics, and the one that we experience and use to describe the world around us is a part of that.
Well, yeah, and to be clear, like we use abstract algebra to describe the world around us. It's relevant.
Yeah, although there's probably some parts of abstract algebra which we haven't found any applications for.
That totally could be true, but if you want some like easy applications like algebraic coding theory, wherein like the integrity of data is guaranteed by like specific like relations to other bits, this all draws just directly on abstract algebraic principles and Galois theory.
If you've ever taken a course, which I haven't, on mathematical philosophy, you might have seen that they look into things like what would have happened if we had different starting assumptions. what if we reject the law of identity? And they're like, explore what happens if we do these kind of things, and what breaks in the mathematics as we know, and why is it not helpful in describing the world around us?
Just to be clear, we are now very, very off topic.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
about to say.
and I want to be clear too, RS. You're a really nice person to talk to, but I want to clarify that our live streams are not like shoot in the breeze, shower thoughts type live streams. Like we're looking for people who have definitive positions that want to debate that definitive position. This is not
Well,
like
I kind of am doing that.
This is not like an exploratory committee.
Sure. I mean, there was just a claim that it's a contradiction that God can exist and have created time, and then I'm like taking.
But which I guess
Well,
like
thanks
which
for not
premise would you
responding to it.
disagree with of the two? Premise one being that a cause is before or during its effect, or premise two that a God outside of time is not before or during anything.
Sure. And in answering that question, I wanted to clarify what do we mean by cause? And if we're strictly defining cause as something previous in time, then I would have no choice but to accept the premise. But I don't
Maybe
think
like
it
a
applies
maybe like
to
an
God.
event that produces an effect, and an effect is just going to be like an event produced by a cause.
So you can't have a phenomena, perhaps, that produces a cause or an effect, or another phenomena that's not temporal, like a
I'm not sure what
grounding reality.
phenomena would be other than an event.
So the law of gravity, like the law of gravity causes these two particles to accelerate to each other or whatever. It's not necessarily an event.
Yeah, they might accelerate towards each other insofar as they're like both interacting in the gravitational field. But you would probably say that the cause of it is going to be a couple of things. The existence of these nomological laws and the connection between the nomological laws and the input. In this circumstance, that there's these two particles that are able to be pulled towards each other, that they're in like the right position for this sort of interaction to happen, and then the interaction happens via nomological laws. But what you're invoking would be still invoking nomological laws, I'm sorry, which just mean like laws of nature. And certainly, I don't think you want to say that all causes require laws of nature, because then God instantly can't be a cause of anything.
No. So your conclusion that nomological laws, or whatever you said, are like, well, at least in the way that you've defined them, are strictly natural laws, is incorrect. It doesn't follow. It could be a supernatural cause or God.
That's just what the word nomological means. Laws of
Okay,
nature.
and how are you defining it?
Nomological literally just means related to the laws of nature.
Okay, so maybe then I would refine whatever word we're going to use to describe the causal dependence and say it's relies on the laws of reality, which then includes whether or not a God exists.
Did God create the laws of reality?
No, God is, is God bound by the laws of reality? I don't know. I think he created the laws of our reality. I'm hesitant
But would
to
he
admit
need
that
to use,
God is...
but so then there's a problem there, because he would need to, if we agree that all causes are going to require like some connection with like a law of reality, then he can't cause the laws of reality into existence.
Sure.
Because he would need
So
to
I
use
would-
laws of reality to make that happen, but those don't
Yeah, so-
exist yet.
Exactly. So I would refer or defer to the cosmological argument that you can't have an infinite regress of groundings, and so I'm just defining or assigning a property to God that he's the ultimate grounding aspect of reality.
So you don't think he's the cause, you think that he's like, he just grounds it?
Those things sound very similar to me in how I interpret them.
Oh, well, I mean, if God's the ground of it, then he didn't freely choose to create it as like the first thing. The second thing is that if God's the grounding of it, then the universe always existed. So you would have to be comfortable with those two conclusions, that
Not
the
at
universe
all.
always existed and that God had no free will in his decision to like spawn the universe, that it was just like always without his choice, like emanating off of him.
So I haven't looked into the metaphysics of God and his free will, but I am happy to accept the idea that God would have created the universe so that it starts at time zero and hadn't have existed forever. I don't see that.
Then it
as-
can't be grounded in him, because then that would just be like a cause. Grounding is metaphysical determination. So like atemporal like determination or atemporal like dependence would be like an eternal dependence. So the universe just would have eternally depended on God. So it would have eternally existed.
No. No,
Oh,
that doesn't make sense. Why does that follow?
oh. But like, which step of that do you reject?
Give me the premises.
Yeah. So, so you're saying that God is like the grounding for it, but God would have been the eternal grounding for it insofar as an atemporal grounding would be an eternal grounding. It can't be like a non-eternal grounding because then it would have required some sort of like coming into existence, which of course would require a progression of existence. So it would just need to be like eternally grounded in God. Would you
Okay.
agree with all of that so far?
The apart from the last sentence that you said it should be eternally grounded. So just because something requires something else to exist doesn't mean that it has existed forever. And just because something requires something else doesn't mean it exists. So something can require the existence of something else and not exist.
Totally agree. So let's say that it was non-eternal, that is, it came into existence. You would agree that that requires like some sort of progression of existence, right?
Sure, in the moment of that creation, there was a progression of existence. So you could say time started there. But prior to that, there was no progression of existence.
You would need the progression of existence to exist in order to have a progression of existence. You
So
can't
was it
have a progression of existence without the progression of existence.
Exactly, which is why you can have the simultaneous
So then
creation of
God couldn't have created time.
well, you can have the simultaneous creation of existential progression and existence, or
So
existentiality.
if time is the progression of existence and the creation of time would require a progression of existence, then that means that the creation of time would have required time.
So I'm not trying to be difficult here, or it might seem like it, but when you define the progression of existence, if there is no progression, is there time?
I don't think so.
So if there is all that exists is, let's say, God, and there is no progression of God's existence, and then and then there is a progression, that you could say time only started progressing when there was that progression.
Yeah, so then there would have been a progression into a progression of existence.
Yeah,
There
so
would
there
have
was
been
a
a
start of
progression of
time.
existence into an existence with a progression of existence. So there would have been a progression of existence into a reality that has time in it. So it would have required time.
Sure, it's perhaps I would agree, but just I don't know if it's because your wording's slightly imprecise, but I agree with what you're saying insofar as that before that moment there was no time.
Well, just that in order to bring time into existence, there would need to be a progression of existence.
Right.
But
So they
that's
can exist
time.
simultaneously.
So it would have required time to bring in time to existence.
So there's not a contradiction in believing that time comes into existence at the same there is a
At the same
simultaneous
what?
at the same time.
Yep.
Well,
There you
there it
go.
is.
Well, it's a limitation of
Well-
our English language to
Well,
describe non-temporal.
thanks for playing, RS.
Well, okay, sure. If you guys had enough
Yeah,
of that.
sorry. I hope that doesn't feel like too bad faith to you. But it sounds like Justin wants to move on.
Sure, yeah. I'll take that as a sign of defeat, and I'm victorious. Maybe
Yep, you won.
I'll
You
go
won,
away
RS.
That's
for a
what
few more
happened.
weeks because familiarity breeds contempt. So
Well, to be fair, it's not that we don't like you. It's just that it's boring for the audience to hear the same
Yeah.
guest over and over again.
oh yeah, I meant to set a timer for like 10 or 20 minutes, but maybe next time. I won't come on next week. Hopefully you forget about me, and then I'll be like a new person you've never seen.
Yep.
Yeah, just come in with a new name. We'll never
Yeah.
know.
All right, see you guys.
New names,
Alright.
new topics. We'll have no idea.
Cheers, RS.
Yeah. Bye bye.
All right. He is nice though. We'll give him that. He certainly is nice. But it sounds like he's working through the arguments. I don't think he's actually worked through them yet. I think he comes up here to work through them in real time. Graham, thank you for the super chat. Says, "Does God know what it's like to do fentanyl?" I mean,
You can't
again,
say that.
We're
You have
on
to censor
YouTube,
yourself for
baby.
those words.
Yeah,
We're also on
YouTube won't
TikTok,
get taken
so.
down. Daniel says, "Look, if you vegans want me to give up meat, fine, but you're prying cheese from my cold dairy-stained hand."
Honestly, that's my issue too.
So, I think there's some questions, some ethical questions around dairy consumption, and
Oh, absolutely. Like dairy farms are I mean, they are better than, you know,
Right.
slaughter farms probably, but like they're still really, really bad. Sorry, cheese is my comfort food. So
There
Well,
is
I think the question is, can you ethically harvest dairy without harming the animal? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to keep this rant like relatively short, but there is like an argument that I'm currently chewing through related to vegan ethics, which is just that it's very plausible that going vegan actually does nothing to stop this. Because if my understanding of the economics is that typically if the product doesn't get bought up, then like the state will just come in and buy up like all of the excess dairy products and all of the excess
that's
like
true.
meat products.
We have a
which
cheese
means that
store.
it's very plausible that going vegan like might simply just not do anything. And if that's the case, then I don't know, like it would still be like a horrific atrocity what's happening at dairy farms, but your obligation to stop consuming the product might no longer exist. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. There's always a loophole in the system somewhere. Casey, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I'm a big fan of all three of you. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you, Casey. And you know, I'm lucky to be able to get on a screen with these two titans of
I don't know. I think
of
that you might be
debate.
the biggest amongst us as far as debate channels go.
Yeah. Also,
now.
you know, I don't know. It's cool that I get to, you know, debate with like two people that I really look up to.
It's like a weekly play date.
Yeah.
It really is. That's a good way to put it. I love that the phrasing there. It's good. Speaking of which, our friend Jim Barrows is here. Good to see you, Jim. Says, do we have the language necessary to express any concept without time existing?
No, but
And-
we will.
Oh, that's hopeful. Okay.
No,
No, it was just a joke.
I do
suspect we
think
could
that
invent it.
I do think that our language is limited, with respect to like our language, especially the English language, is very tensed. We use time words like pretty consistently, even to describe things that aren't temporal.
That is the case. We do a lot of things like that. Like we refer to a lot of non-gendered entities as he, him, when it's not necessary as well. It's just language is funny. Wattcast
Yeah.
says causality is a consequence of nature, not vice versa. I mean,
I think I'm inclined to agree.
yeah. Pat, great to see you, my friend. Says these Phil Bros are terrible debates. Well, when you get a good Phil Bro, it's totally worth it. It really is. But when you get the
Or if you
boring
get a bad
ones-
one who thinks he's a good one.
Yeah. That is the case. And Von Doodle says, Dr. Blitz, isn't time just an aspect of entropy or entropy? Oh no. Don't break Blitz. Don't break Blitz. Dalton, good to see you. Thanks for the super chat. It says, does the block universe theory solve the problem of getting into the present in regards to the problem of an infinite regress?
Yeah, basically. But
Oh,
you have to first convince people of that.
Well, I mean,
the thing.
technically, there still is an infinite regress. It's just that all the infinite regress examples get like spawn killed.
Oh yeah,
Because-
it's just not a problem.
Yeah.
It
And,
solves
like,
the problem.
essentially like the types of arguments you'd need to be making at that point would apply to saying like that there aren't like infinite negative numbers, which is silly. So
And Lorkwright says, crows cause cause. Caw-caw.
Oh, that's
laugh,
good.
Dr. Blitz. That was really funny. You should have laughed, Dr. Blitz. Thank you.
And we got two more super chats. Josh, good to see you. Says, I used to hate Sundays until I found this channel. Well, Josh, we want to make your Sunday mornings a joyous occasion without having to like leave your pajamas. That's the goal. And Jim Barrows, thank you for the additional super chat for Dr. Blitz. Why doesn't the work of Aspect, Clauser, and Zillinger 2022 Nobel proving that there's no cause for quantumly entangled particles having opposite spin, the death of everything has a cause? Or
Because they didn't do that. So for those who don't know, this is the Aspect, Clauser, and Zeilinger won the Nobel Prize in 2022. This was the whole, reality's not real. Physicists prove there's, you guys probably saw this in the news.
not locally real, I think is the
Yeah, it's that whole
terminology.
thing. So what they showed was that essentially that our universe is fundamentally quantum. So they showed that the Bell tests, or the Bell experiment, is exactly as predicted if the world was quantum, and is exactly not as predicted if the world was not quantum. Now, that doesn't say anything about whether or not quantum entangled particles have opposite spin having a cause. In fact, we know how to make quantumly entangled spins having opposite quantumly entangled particles having opposite spins. So in some sense, they absolutely have a cause. You make them. You shoot a photon through, a nonlinear optic or something like this, and you make them, and now they have opposite spin. There's a question about what is the cause of wave function collapse, if that's a thing that you believe in. That's a serious question. But there's not really an issue about causality here, like causal relations, I should say.
Dope. Well, good question, Jim. Good to see you, friend. Hope you're doing well. And we're going to get our next guest in here. We're going to bring in Mac from the queue. Welcome in, Mac. Mac, are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yeah, 54, and I believe in the Creator. I'll say that, but God, you can call him God. So,
Well-
Dr. Blitz, what's your background? I just need to establish some things before I reveal something to you.
My background is a blackboard.
Okay.
Got his ass.
So
Fucking spawn kill.
I'm going to reveal an equation for you that will explain it if you give me the opportunity to explain.
Dr. Blitz
Explain
would
God,
love
you
this.
mean?
There's
There's gonna be an
nothing that Dr.
equation?
Blitz wants more than this.
Yes. Okay.
Sure.
Hi. Okay, so yeah, he's up. Sorry. I'll come over and do it. Okay, so equation one. I'm in it.
Hold on, I'm getting out my notebook.
It's foundational
one.
resonance equation. Okay.
Wait, what's the equation?
I'm going to give it to you. It's the foundational resonance equation. I have many, but this is
Okay,
the one that
yeah.
Keku. I'm sure you're familiar with Keku, string theory, Einstein.
Yeah, what's the equation?
Energy equals mass times pi to the plus or minus 2 times psi to the plus or minus 4 to the power of plus or minus 2 times phi to the power of plus or minus 3 to the power of plus or minus 2 times Mobius to the power of plus or minus 2.
All right, now you got to
Now-
define your terms. What's psi?
All right, just a second. Psi, hold on, I'm going to tell you. This is the seed, the first breath of equation. Pi
Yeah, but what's-
represents divine. Hold on, I'm going to get
You just got to define your terms.
Pi-
So I know what pi is.
I
It's
am.
roughly 3.14.
Okay, pi represents divine order and spatial symmetry, the architecture
course.
of creation.
Of course it does, yeah.
Yeah.
No, pi represents
the wave.
3.14159.265, etc.
I understand,
Pi's a
but what
number.
I'm trying to explain to you. Pi represents divine order and spatial symmetry, the
That
architecture.
No, it
certainly,
represents-
that certainly is your presupposition, yeah.
Pi is a number.
hold on.
It represents a
Okay.
point on the number line.
All right. Look, if you're into physics, if you're into to math, I'm trying to
Yeah.
explain this to you.
Yeah, Dr. Blitz,
Psi
are you-
But pi's a
represents-
number.
Psi represents the wave of will and consciousness, the living decision
Is it-
inside energy.
What
What
units?
element?
Phi,
Wait,
Pi
what
is the divine proportion.
like what space is psi an element of? Is it like a space? Is it like a member of like the real numbers? Is it a member of a complex vector space? Is it a member of a Hilbert space? Is it a member of a set?
psi represents will. It's a,
But
I don't know how to
but
explain it to you.
like I don't know.
I'll
I
try
don't
to
like.
do
Are
it.
we doing representation theory here? Because if so, I'd love to talk about like Lie algebras.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish. Explain the equation, then you
All
can
right.
ask the
So
question.
okay. So hold on. I gotta write this down. So pi represents what now? Represents
Divine order. Divine
Divine
order.
order.
And spatial symmetry.
spatial symmetry. Okay. Now psi
Yeah, I've
represents.
I have a thesis. I'm fixing to publish.
So psi represents.
Psi represents the wave of will and consciousness, the living
wave-
decision.
the wave of will and consciousness, or as though they're the same thing?
Yes. No.
The wave of will and consciousness,
living
living
decision.
decision.
Inside energy.
This is wild.
Okay. What does phi represent?
Phi is divine proportion, the harmony of love, beauty, and natural resonance.
Where are you going to publish this, by the way?
In Houston, I've already
Frontiers.
been to
Okay.
Texas A&M.
Okay. So were there any other? What does m represent?
Mobius represents infinity, the return loop.
No.
the
So you said
covenant
E
of
equals
life.
M times pi to the plus or minus 2. So what's the
Energy,
M? You said,
energy equals mass.
okay, so M equal. Oh, so M is actually just equal to mass. It doesn't just like represent it. Okay, great. And what's Mobius?
Mobius represents infinity, the returning loop, the covenant of all cycles. The first form describes how energy breathes, oscillating between positive and negative expansion and collapse, life and return. It's the
Right. So
inhale
like,
of creation.
so question. So like, let's say that I'm like talking about a light bulb. The light bulb
Okay.
is a 60-watt light bulb, so it takes in 60 joules of energy per second. Let's say the light bulb has a mass of, I don't know, 100 grams. How do I fill in what pi, psi, phi, and Mobius are so that E equals M times all that other stuff?
I don't know how to explain it right. As far
Because
as how you're-
equations are typically supposed to be the left-hand side is a number and the right-hand side is also a number. Or maybe they're more complicated things like they're elements of sets, or maybe they're vectors in a vector space, or functions on a manifold or something like this. But usually it means like the left-hand side is like numerically equivalent in some way to the right-hand side. And so I'm just asking like what numbers do I plug in, or what set elements do I plug into each side to make the things equal?
Okay, I will. I'm not sure how to explain it right this minute because I've got ADHD. So,
But then where did this equation come from? But then where did the equation come from if you didn't so equations typically come from, like, if you're trying to come up with a new equation, typically what happens is that, like, you have a few examples of, like, specific cases, and then you generalize that to, like, a much larger family of cases, and then you prove that the generalization is true for whatever setting that you're working in. So, like, what's like an example of, like, this equation holding true?
Just a second. Let me. Okay. I need to give the. I'll have to type in on my deal and see where on my thesis that I've got this question for you. Basically, when KQ
Did you just, like,
and
write down an
Frederico-
equation in a way that, like, sounds, because, like, that's not what an equation is. So what's the example that shows that this equation is true, at least in a specific case?
Okay, so what I did was I'm a mechanic by trade. I'm in physics right now at Texas A&M. Okay,
Sure.
so I wanted to create a motor that was self-sustaining, that
Wait,
could take us to Pluto and back.
when you
Just
say
a minute.
self-sustaining, can you help me understand what you mean by that?
Are you familiar with zero-point energy extraction?
I'm not.
Are you familiar with Casimir effect?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so that's basically it's plasma in a
Casimir effect
vacuum.
doesn't involve plasma.
When you put spark gaps on the Casimir plates in a Fibonacci sequence, it generates a plasma field.
When you
Obviously,
put spark
you
gaps,
need
so
the Fibonacci sequence for this.
so if you have a Casimir plates, like genuine separation of separation of two conductors, you can't form spark gaps because you're in a vacuum. You can have vacuum polarization, but no sparks will jump across, otherwise you're not doing the Casimir effect properly.
Well, in my motor, I'm calling it the Merkava motor. It generates a plasma. It
Sorry,
creates
we are
plasma.
very off topic. I was just still waiting for an example of where this equation is true.
Okay, just a second.
Like, just so I can check that the left-hand side equals the right-hand side.
Okay. Just a second.
Sure.
Okay, so let me get to the page. So pi, the architect, this is the structure of existence, the sacred geometry. In form,
Is this about the equation?
Hold on.
He
What?
takes
Is this about that first equation?
Hold on.
Oh,
In
boy.
form, it's the spiraling double helix, the orbit of planets, the curl of a seashell, the framework.
Wait,
of
is this about the equation?
Yes.
Okay, so
It's
what's the
exponent-
left-hand side of the equation in the example you're giving? What's the number that I plug in?
Energy.
What's the number?
Energy of what?
Okay. Just
Of like what system?
let me read this. Let me read this first, so I can understand.
But it
Pi
sounds like it's not
becomes-
going to answer my question.
Are we asking
Will-
questions that you don't do you just not understand the question, or like because I feel like the question has simply not been answered. Like
What
what
is
sort
the
of
when
things is
I-
this applied to? What
maybe
is
I'm
this
not
applied to?
understanding.
Yeah, so let me give an example. So when Einstein wrote E equals mc squared, what this means is that if you were to calculate the total energy of the context that he was doing it in was an electromagnetic system. So you can take a pair of charges, for example, put them in a box, a pair of opposite charges. You can compute the potential energy between them. You can compute the the kinetic energy of the charges, and you can compute the total mass of the charges. And if you add those all together, what you will get is each of the charges will have their own mass, so that'll contribute to the mass. But then also the kinetic energy of the charges and the potential energy of the charges together will contribute to the total mass of the box in a way that is related by E equals mc squared. So you take the total energy minus the rest mass energy, you divide it by c squared, the speed of light, which is a number. So it'd be like 5 joules, which is, some amount of energy, potential energy plus kinetic energy, divided by the speed of light squared. So divide it by 300,000 meters per second and then square the whole thing. That will give you a little bit of extra mass that you can then go check, and you can put your box on a scale and it will weigh that much. So that's what I mean by where is the example that I can use to check that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side.
Okay, this equation, or structural operator equation, is not plug and chug equation like E equals mc squared. So the numbers I plug
Then
in
it's not
are
an equation.
parameters I extract from a given system, like a sphere experiment or my motor, not random choices. So, in the 3 equations that I have, when I was talking to Dr. Spurko and Dr. Ma, the first foundation equation, energy equals mass, the first one I gave you. The second one is a fractal expansion.
Wait, before we move to
And
the
the
second
third-
one, I'm so sorry to
I'm-
interrupt, and I don't mean to be an asshole, but I just want to make
Okay,
sure
so-
that this is going somewhere. Could you explain to us what an equation is? Like what it's supposed to do?
Okay, so I'm going to answer the question that he asked me, what each symbol really is numerically. For now, treat the equation like it's in math form. E equals m times pi to the power of a times psi f.
Wait, where did A come
to the power of
from?
E times, well, it's EFF
Where did F
to the
come
power
from?
of a. EFF. Mass term, kilograms, or some effective mass energy scale that you care about. Pi, EFF equals a number that encodes boundary and geometry. Psi, EFF equals a number that encodes driving and coherence. Phi, EFF equals a number that encodes nonlinearity scaling. And the Mobius is a number that encodes topology feedback. And A, B, C, D are those plus and minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 9, plus or minus 9, plus or minus 12,
Okay, so-
coming from the 3 equations.
Yeah, so what are the so if I were to give you a system, like let's say that I handed you, I don't know, a box with a spring glued to either side of the box. So it's like the spring is attached to both sides of the box, and then you put a weight on the middle of the spring, and then you push the weight so the spring oscillates back and forth like a slinky. What would be the value I would put in for psi EFF
Okay, just
for
say,
that system?
bear with me.
Yep, we're bearing with you.
Emphasis on barren.
I've just been studying what Keku and what Dr. Green.
What was the most recent paper of Kaku's that you read?
He's talking about the God equation, supposedly.
Well, what was the
And-
most recent paper that you read of his?
I don't know the name of it. I'd have to look it up.
Do you know what year it was from?
It was 2012 20, 2022, I think it was. I don't have the recall memory like most people. So, okay. So
I don't think he's written any
the
papers
spring
since like
attached,
the early
to both
2000s.
sides inside the box. A mass sitting
Uh-huh.
in the middle of the spring. You push the mass and it oscillates back and forth like a 1D slinky. That is a
Yep.
classic 1D mass spring oscillator, the standard physics language. Mass equals
Yeah,
M.
so what's
spring
phi there?
constant- Hold on. Spring constant stiffness equals K. Displacement from center equals X.
But where is this appearing in your
T.
equation?
Equation of motion. So M.
I'm asking
X-
about your equation.
What about it?
So,
Okay, so now
I gave you a system.
in
I
my
want you to
language-
apply your equation to that system.
So in my language, psi is the wave excitation wheel field operator.
So it's a number, right?
What
So like,
number
what's the
do
number
I
that it
put in
is?
for psi? For this simple oscillator, how do I turn its vibration into a single number that represents how strongly it's excited, right? There isn't one unique correct psi text.
Let's say that the spring
But here's a
constant is
plain,
10
simple
newtons
way-
per meter. Let's say the spring constant is 10 newtons per meter, the mass is 100 grams, and the spring is stretched between the two walls of, let's say, half a meter. What number should you plug in for psi?
Let A equal the actual oscillation amplitude, how far you pull the mass from center. Let A max equals the maximum
Wait, what's A?
amplitude.
A isn't in your equation.
No, but we're saying that
I'm asking
in
about your
psi,
equation, my guy.
Okay, so psi in the text, EFF equals how big is the oscillation compared to the maximum I consider safe or allowed. Mathematically, let A equal the actual oscillation amplitude, how far you pull
Right, so what's the
mass
number
from
here?
center.
Let's say that you pull it away from equilibrium at 0.2 meters. What's psi
A is a
EFF here?
small-
What's the psi
would be-
psi EFF you said is a number that represents something. What's the number in
Yeah,
this
It
situation?
would be a 0.1 weak excitation.
Okay, now what's
Well,
phi in this equation?
Okay, so where's your just a second. The third back to equation works in. Okay, psi effective power plus or minus 4 times phi to the power of plus or minus 3. For the mechanical example, psi effective is just normalized oscillation amplitude, the actual vibration amplitude divided by the maximum safe amplitude. So if the spring mass is only gently excited, psi effectively is small. It's the strong excitation near its limits. Psi effectively is close to 1. That sounds very same to a physicist. You pick
Where
a
are you
real
reading this
system
from?
spring mass. I'm reading it from my paper here.
Oh, so you already
one?
had you had this specific example already laid out in your paper?
Yes, I'm trying to explain it. It's just that I have to go through my page. I've explained a lot of stuff in this thesis. It's 200 and something pages. So I'm trying to go
So,
back through it, but I
Look,
wasn't
there are
prepared. I
two
just
ways
wanted
that
to
you can
share it with
there are
you.
two ways that you can produce an equation, at least canonically. One is that you can derive it from first principles using mathematics. And we could talk about that. The other is that you can derive it kind of empirically. You note a relationship between measurable quantities, and then you produce you kind of guess what the equation is that describes the relation. Which one did you do?
Described how this equation.
Yeah, where this equation came from.
Well, this equation came from just. I am an analytical person, and I'm a troubleshooter.
Look, there were two questions, or there were two options.
I-
One was empirical methods. One was from first principles. Which one did you do?
Okay.
Did you use the third option? You consulted with Dr. GPT?
Did what now?
Is this AI generated?
No. Energy comes from mass resonating through the quality.
Where
core
did the
quality.
equation come from? What does the equation come from? Empirical observations.
Okay, so pi is 3.14159.
Does the equation
Phi
come
is
from do you know what empirical observations are, Mac?
not sure I understand. No.
Okay, so empirical observations are when you go out and you make measurements about things in the world, like you go out and you weigh things, or you get a ruler and you measure the lengths of things, or you get out a stopwatch and you time how fast something is moving, whatever. Those are empirical observations. Did you come to this equation, which relates empirical quantities like energy and mass? Did you come to this equation by making observations about the real world and then analyzing the data and coming to a best fit equation that describes them? Is that how you came to this equation?
I came through the equation through breadth, through oscillations of frequency. Frequency
Which
measures
ones?
how geometry and divine proportions interact compared to
I
the
feel like-
internal.
Okay, so
I feel like you just have
was
to
the
get,
answer
way
no?
more direct with this guy. Because
Was the
I
answer
feel like
no?
He just doesn't answer the questions.
No, not a single one yet.
Oscillations. Which oscillations? What was the oscillating thing that you came to this conclusion off of?
string. If the string oscillates and it breathes in and out, side to side, in circles,
So,
and it explains
Mac,
how.
Are we
each
talking
strands
about
are
like
made.
are we talking about like loops of yarn, or are we talking about like string theory?
We're talking about just a string on a guitar. I mean, it resonates sound, but it also,
Okay,
people
so-
look at a wave function as just a one. We only observe the upper side of it, not the lower side of it. We're only observing what we see on top, but not the inversion
So,
of
Mac,
coming back.
So
Coming back, and the
so
rest
was the answer to my original question that was asking you whether or not, or whether you got this equation from empirical measurements? Was the answer no?
No, I got it. I have worked this.
We need a yes or no out of your mouth.
Did you
Mac.
collect data, like actual measurements about the world, before coming to this equation, and you use this equation to match the data?
I haven't tested it yet.
Okay,
So the
so then the
answer
answer
is
is no, which is fine, which means that you must have come to this equation from first principles. So, can you tell me what mathematical space the right-hand side lives in?
Elaborate. I'm not understanding. Mathematical space.
Yeah, so
What do you
this must
mean?
have been derived from first principles following a set of logical steps, starting from something that is obvious or evident and coming to some novel conclusion. That's how you can generate new equations mathematically. You start with something that's known, and then you perform a novel set of logical steps, and you end up with something that is new. So,
Well,
the
we
first thing
understand
that you have to
that-
do when you're writing down an equation like this is, what space do the objects live in? What kind of mathematical space do the objects live in? Do they live on the real number? Do they live in the real numbers? Do they live in a Hilbert space? Do they live in an algebra? Do they live in, I don't know, like a monoid? Like where do these objects live?
They live inside of everything. I mean, that's what I'm not understanding. The
Okay.
equation
Do
explains
you
everything.
do you know what the complex numbers are?
I'm not a no. I don't understand
Okay.
what you. I'm not a
you-
physicist yet. I'm just taking physics
Uh,
now.
We know. Do you think
This
that you are
equation-
probably well qualified to write down an equation that governs reality? If you don't know what
You
the
think
complex
Einstein
numbers
was well
are,
qualified? I mean, do you think
Absolutely.
Einstein was well qualified?
Yeah, Einstein could tell you what the
Absolutely.
complex
It was an
numbers are. In
idea.
fact, I
It was
think
an
probably
idea,
all
and he
three of the
made it.
people here, despite the fact, well, I mean, I have a math degree, so it's not fair, but I
had an
bet
idea.
Justin could probably even tell you what the complex numbers are.
All
Could be
ideas
wrong.
didn't come from physicists. They came from people with an idea.
Einstein
all-
was
all
very
those
well
equations
qualified
came
for what it's worth.
Yeah, so these like groundbreaking ideas, they don't just come out of nowhere. They're built off of the backs of the currently existing system. They evolve
Right.
in a method of finding problems with the current understanding and then solving those problems with a new understanding, typically
Okay,
speaking.
well, I've given you the equation. I've exposed the equation. Okay, so it's up to you to take this equation and prove me
Mac,
wrong.
can I?
That's
I have
not
a
how
question for
mathematics
you,
works.
Mac.
Yeah, that's
Mac,
not how that works.
What's the unit of energy? Could you tell us what energy's unit is?
Energy. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Do you feel like you're qualified to do what you're doing? Like, there's nothing wrong. I actually, okay, I'm sorry. That was rude of me. I really admire that you are trying to like contribute to a field that you have something important that you feel like you want to say. And I think that you should definitely do that. The only way to do that, however, is by like actually knowing physics.
Or
And that's why
mathematics,
I'm
like,
taking
you know.
physics now. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I've been a mechanic my whole life. I built
Yeah.
I built a motor when I was 12, and now I tune race cars on the computer side. I mean, I'm not a physicist yet. I'm not into physics yet, but I understand things. I understand because I live and I breathe. I understand why trees grow the way they do, why plants grow the way they do, why DNA strands are the way they are. I don't know how I know. I just know. And when Keku was talking about string theory, and when
It's been my
Dr. Green
experience
was
that
talking
when
about
you know how something
quantum
works,
entanglement,
you can explain it. You don't just know
but
it
I
because
don't
you
I don't know how
know.
to
You could
explain it
actually.
though, because
That means you don't actually
I
know.
understand. No, I know how to explain it in my understanding of it, but I don't know how to explain it in the concept of controlled conversation because of my sporadic thinking. And it's not your fault.
For what it's
just
worth,
my
I also
fault.
have ADHD. So
Yeah,
it's not
I've got-
really an excuse.
Well, I've had it my whole life and didn't find out
Me
I
too.
had it till I was 30. So and I
And
don't take medication.
so I guess
which I'm on medication,
have
but
I
should.
known that? Yeah, I've had
But-
ADHD longer than you.
How old are you?
Pulling
Checkmate.
creds is insane.
I'm 32. I've
mean,
been
I'm
diagnosed for
54 years
25 years.
What's your dosage?
4 years old. I've had it since I was a kid. They just called it hyperactive disorder back then when I was a kid.
So I feel like we should probably move on. But I
like I said,
I
I
really
just wanted to
admire
share the
your
equation
drive
with you
to
and-
try to come to an understanding of the universe around you. I think that's a fantastic characteristic, and you should keep trying to do it. And the way you do it is by building your knowledge base and then applying those concepts. And it sounds
Right,
like you're
and-
enrolled in a physics course, which is great. So if in like some number of years you've developed this and can give like the rigorous answers that Dr. Blitz could to the questions Dr. Blitz would ask you, you should definitely come back.
Yeah, no, I enjoy. I like I said, I like the challenge because it makes me sharper, and make me able to answer the questions when approached. Because with Dr. Ma and Dr. Spurko, who's the dean of physics at A&M, all wanted to know these things, and I didn't know how to explain it exactly, but what I was trying to explain is how consciousness and like Federico Fagin talks about consciousness and physics are the same. And this equation has allowed me to create this motor. I haven't built it yet, but the concepts
So
are
you
real.
haven't created it?
The concepts.
No,
concepts are only good as
He has a concept of a
concepts.
motor.
He has a concept
but everything-
of an engineering
Well,
design. So I don't know if
right,
you know
and
this,
it just
Mac. I was in engineering for 20 years. We have a lot of concepts. The concepts aren't all that meaningful till you actually put them into the real world. Like I've had a lot of
Right.
concepts in my brain. Then when I try to do it in the real world, it turns out that it was a horrible concept. So we encourage you to make that motor. When you get it made, coming back, let us see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'll do some more thorough questioning of myself and try to come up with the answers that you're asking for in a more
Please do.
controlled conversation instead of just sporadic. But like I said, I give the equation. You can look
Okay.
at it.
Well,
And
thanks for coming up, Mac.
yes, sir. Thank y'all for your time.
All right. Cheers. Have a good one. Well, that was new.
Yeah.
That's
He was
the
nice,
first
very
time someone-
confused.
Yeah,
but
I think
nice.
it's the first time somebody had legitimately had an equation for God. We've heard people talk
This-
about it.
This happens to me a lot. I get these kinds of DMs like all the time.
Yeah, I apologize.
Like someone will
gotta be
send me
horrible.
it's usually a ChatGPT output, and it's like 10 pages long in a single DM, and it has like random equations, and it's like this represents the consciousness constant, and I'm like I get those all the time, so it's not new to me.
Yeah. For anyone wondering, if you make up mathematical formulas, the symbols that resemble the spiritual things, you have to demonstrate that the spiritual things exist before you can make a mathematical formula about it. But Graham, thank you for the $5 super chat. It says, my friend is so wrapped in Christianity, he sends me Cliff Connectley videos every day and thinks his arguments are amazing. He's turning into an A1 apologist. Well, that hurts me. If they think that Cliff Connectley is a good apologist, then they're in a world of hurt. Watch more of
They
our
should watch
content.
They should watch the Cliff Connectley versus Alex O'Connor debate on Modern Day
Oh,
Debates.
it's
that
devastating.
That was like career ending. That was brutal.
He gets he gets crushed by every good debater. Like Matt Dillahunty
Sounds familiar.
ate his
Sounds
lunch
quite a
and
lot
took
like
his lunch
somebody
money.
else who's no longer with us.
Peterson?
No, Peterson's still alive.
Oh.
For now.
I mean, his career's dead. I thought that's what you were
Oh,
saying.
disavow. I disavow. I disavow that, Dr. Blitz. I disavow. Anyway,
I didn't say it was good or anything. I just said that he had the same motif. He was Kirk was very, very good at debating uneducated college students.
Yeah.
That is the case.
No comment. You know, I still have employment. They're not going to get me. I disavow that.
KJ says, Ian, thoughts on Noam Chomsky and his take on Plato's problem?
Yeah, Noam Chomsky, he's interesting because he used to publish in like analytic philosophy, and in fact, he's like one of the main people that argues in favor of like a semantic thesis that I like. But then I don't know, he's like kind of drifted more towards like pop stuff, which I'm not too interested in. But I haven't. I googled it in anticipation for this. What it is. I don't think I understood what the. So I think I understand the problem, which is like, how do we know so much? Like, why is our brain capable of grasping so much? Like something in that realm. And of course, like Plato's solution is that there's like the realm of forms, and then we just like fucking intuit it, right? Like you know, how do you come to mathematical knowledge? Like it's intuitive, big dog. Your magical Platonic intuition like interfaces with the Platonic stuff, which is like obviously silly. And I have no idea what Chomsky's answer to the question is. So I don't know. To answer your question, I have no idea.
Well, appreciate the answer. And Dr. Blitz, sorry to do this to you, but we got another equation for you. What do you think about this one?
E equals MC pi plus 5 plus 8 equals D. I like it. I'm going to put it on my tombstone.
And Cascade, thank you for the super chat, says the number 0 represents the true objective reality in that the chance that your God exists is 0. I can concur. I think we agree with this. Well, I mean, yeah, it's got to be 0. Daniel, thank you for the super chat, says, can you ask the guest what cave wall he found this equation on? Let's be real. It was probably a bathroom stall. And that is the quality that I was sensing from the equation as well. Stanza Bark, thank you for the super chat. Good to see you today. They said, did Mac study math with Terrence Howard? Yes, that is the case. And the Ancient Alien guys, I'm sure Zacharias Stitchins was in there too. Design says right side of equation equals 42. Yes. If we've learned anything in life, that the answer to all things is 42. And Hoodie, good to see you, says he's getting his PhD in teriology. Yes, he really is. Terrence Howardology? We got to shorten that. Hates says, I'm a physicist at Texas A&M. His grade. Oof. Oof. You got graded by a peer as maybe a D-. I don't know. That's not a great look, my friend. Nitty says, I want absolutely 0 things this guy fixes or makes with mechanical engineering. I agree. I was thinking the same thing as he was talking. If we had a mechanical engineer among our rakes where I've worked at, and this is how they talked, we'd make sure they didn't get involved in any important projects ever. That is not the person you want. Pat says, Mac went to school to learn, I guess, nothing. The problem is, I bet he's actually pretty bright if he would apply himself towards the right applications. The problem is he's wasting his energy on nonsense. And Joshua says, Mac sounds exactly like I did one time. I took LSD in college. It wore off after a good sleep, though. Indeed, yes, these unfortunately are shower thoughts that have gone too far. And Design, good to see you again, says studies under Dr. Chad GPT. Yes. Yes, indeed. That's a good one. And Waftcast says, bro is on to nothing. Sorry, it didn't load. There we go. Bro is on to nothing. That is the case. But at least he's keeping himself busy. Waffle says, I'm super lost, but I like hearing Dr. Blitz say smart things. Rock hard for Doug. Agreed. There's something entertaining about it when the person you know is talking intelligently, not just doing word salad. Word salad is not filling. And Wash says again, Mac is the dunningest Kruger to ever done a Kruger. That's a hard thing. I don't know entirely, but I do
Oh,
know.
no, there's so many worse.
Yeah, I think Mac actually has some intelligence. I think he's, unfortunately, because he's in a cult, has wasted his intelligence on nonsense. And Jake, good to see you. Thank you for the 66. As my dad said, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. After majoring in philosophy, I've been unemployed ever since. True. Actually, I met a guy with a PhD in philosophy, working in engineering, and we got to talk, and I said, how did you go from a PhD in philosophy to engineering? He's like, well, I couldn't make money in philosophy. He's like, oh, fuck. I was like, so how did you learn what you're doing now? He's like, well, I took more classes. I didn't get an engineering degree, but I took enough to do this. I was like, oh, well, I'm glad someone took a chance on you. I mean, if you get a PhD in philosophy, they have to assume you're intelligent. So even if you don't complete a full engineering degree, I'm sure they'll find work for you.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I personally want to. Well, my understanding, basically, the only thing you could do, or the only reason why you should get one of those, is if you want to go and become like a philosopher, like a professor of philosophy, which is like extraordinarily competitive, extremely difficult. So I don't know, or I don't know. I like the idea of maybe one day getting a philosophy PhD, but I think I would need to not be currently employed. Like I would need like streaming to be my full-time income for that to be a thing that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you could put it to use in your everyday life without having to seek employment for it. Whereas I think the average Joe couldn't. They need to find a job where they use that. So Justin, try to get with me after AXP if you can. I should be able to hit you up after AXP. I don't know exactly what time, but I should be able to, my friend. And last one for now, from our friend Eris, good to see us. Jordan Peterson, living in a house full of black mold, is doing its work to achieve the goal after it sent him to the hospital. I didn't know that's what happened. Interesting.
Yeah, look, disavow.
He forgot to clean his room.
Best wishes, our prayers are with Dr. Peterson.
Yeah. All of my prayers yesterday were for Dr. Peterson.
Yep.
And that's a vacuous truth.
I really am actually of the opinion that that Jordan Peterson is experiencing some mental phenomenon. I think
that happened years ago. He literally had a break.
No, I'm saying I think he still is experiencing some problems, and I think he needs proper medical care. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. We all this might be like a thing that's only relatable to the three of us, but like I do wonder, because I know what it's like to have however many followers I have and to get the audience that I get. I don't know what it's like to get like the audience that he has. But maybe that would make you like a bit delusional to think that you have like something worth saying to like all of these people. I feel like if I had that many people, I feel like if I had the audience that he had, I would feel like a massive fraud.
For sure. Well, we're going to get in inferential esoteric logic for our next guest. So this should be interesting. Inferential esoteric logic. Welcome. Are you at least 18 and do you believe in God? Inferential?
I'm pretty sure this is just the guy. This is like the guy who was like, oh, the fuck set of all explanations.
Have we talked to Inferential before?
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, he could be a new person, but...
Somebody's saying in the comments that we should bring up this guy named Islamic Apex, and he's on TikTok.
Oh, is he?
Sure.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, let's bring him up.
I don't know who Islamic Apex is, but somebody mentioned it in the comments.
Inferential is not present, so we'll bring in Islamic Apex.
Howdy.
Welcome in, Islamic Apex. Are you at least 18, and do you believe, presumably, in the Islamic God?
Yes. I just want to ask a question.
Well,
Ian.
Yeah, what's up?
Can I? All right, so I've heard you run around with this Cantorian argument. I was wondering if you give me the chance to refute it real quick.
The like set of all sets?
Yeah.
I don't really run that argument anymore. I've heard the solution, which is just that it's like what is it? Like you just use like the different mathematical object, like you use like collections instead.
Yeah, you use classes.
Classes?
Well, not necessarily, but So do you know the formula to find a power set, bro?
I don't know about a formula, but I know what a power set is. It's just
two
like
to the set.
like you
Yes,
just like go through each of
yeah,
the
it's two
elements
to
and then
the.
you like construct like a set of all the possible combinations.
Well, actually, Dr. Blitz was right.
I mean,
Actually,
like
you
the
would do
formula just
two.
represents what Ian described.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be 2 to the power of n, and n is the number of elements that's found within the original set. Is this correct?
No, that's wrong. It's 2 to the power of the set. It's not 2 to the n.
No. Wait,
What you're
the
describing
set?
is the
What does that
cardinality. What
even
you're
mean?
describing is the cardinality. Well, yeah, that's exactly it. Like, so you would say 2 to the z, for example, if you wanted the power set of the integers. But that just represents the power set. It's not really a formula for it.
No,
It
there
represents
is.
this
No,
operation
look.
that Ian represented. Now, what you might be referring to is the formula for the cardinality of a power set, and that is 2 to the cardinality of the set that you're trying to,
And the
take
cardinality
the
is
power
the
set
number of
of.
elements. Yeah. So
Yeah,
is
but
that? Can I
that's
find the
not
power
the set.
set?
But that's not the same as the power set itself. The number of
Yeah.
elements is not equal to the power set.
We agree. Okay, watch this. We both agree that the power set itself that is strictly larger than the original set, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. And let's say I have a set of propositions, even though I don't believe that God's knowledge could be like applied set theoretically, due to the fact that set theory only applies or accounts for inferential knowledge, and I believe that God also has non-inferential knowledge, right? So, granted that we just define set simply and colloquially as a collection of distinct things, right? This is the only way in which we could apply the word set here. Now, I understand that to find the power set is to take 2 and you take that and you put the exponent as to the nth power, that being the cardinality or the number of the elements found within the set. That's how you find how much elements are in the power set.
Yes.
Good. Okay. And if myself, I believe that within the set, obviously, granting that I believe that God's knowledge could be applied set theoretically, then we would come to the conclusion that if the set itself, I believe it's innumerable, meaning that there's an infinite amount of propositions. All right, now Ian, I want you to respond to this. So if we have 2
Wait, why not
to the
Blitz?
power of an...
Like I
Sorry?
can respond to it, but are you like scared of Blitz or something?
No, because you're the one running these arguments. And Blitz
Well,
is going to
I
agree
told
with
you
me
at the start of
anyways.
this that I haven't run this
And also,
argument in quite
Blitz-
some time,
Blitz
but
is
I also
much more
think that it's like
robust than you.
telling, like it kind of sounds like you're
Yeah.
like terrified of Blitz. And right, like
I'm
I know
terrified
that
of
you're
Blitz.
not scared
Blitz
of
literally
Blitz, but
agrees
I'm
with me.
afraid that the audience might come away with the impression that you're running like a motherfucker. So it's fine. Like just go ahead and finish your sentence.
Ian, stop running. So, Ian,
Stop running from
look,
what?
Look. So, when we take 2 to the power of infinity, and infinity is the cardinality of the original set, what is going to be the answer to 2 to the power of infinity?
It's going to be infinite. But
2 to
some
the power
2 to the
of infinity.
infinities are
Undefined.
bigger than other 2 to the
Yo, it's
infinities.
undefined, you donut. 2 to the power of infinity is not innumerable. Are you a joke?
So to be
I thought
so
you
to
knew
be clear,
mathematics.
so to be clear,
This is why Dr. Blitz is
the-
coming to clean your mess.
to be clear, I mean you're a little bit mistaken here too. The
He's
formula that you give for the power set only works for finite sets. So if you wanted to describe, for example, the cardinality of the power set of the natural numbers, you would write 2 to the aleph null or 2 to the aleph naught,
Yep,
right?
and aleph null
That
is the infinity with the smallest amount of
it is the
cardinality.
it is the countable infinity. So that
Meaning the
formula,
magnitude is countable.
yes. So that formula
Good.
would actually that formula is not equal to infinity. It's not even something that that's not something that really makes sense. Rather, what it is the cardinality that corresponds to the real numbers or something like this.
No,
Now,
Dr. Blitz,
if you take the
I
continuum
agree with you.
hypothesis seriously or something,
Yes,
so then
correct.
what's
No,
the
that-
issue here? I mean, like
I'll tell you the issue.
like-
I think you misunderstood
Okay.
me, respectfully, Dr. Blitz. So
Sure.
my whole point is that if we take the original set and the cardinality of the original set is something that which is innumerable, meaning the very idea of taking.
Wait, what's
Can I finish?
what's the cardinality here?
The cardinality
Like
is
which
innumerable.
That's not a cardinality. Is it aleph 1, aleph 2, aleph 3? Like what is the
Look,
cardinality of
it-
this
look,
set
it
that you're
doesn't
referring to?
also look. Okay, watch this.
He doesn't even know what those things
let's say it's
are,
aleph
if I'm not
1.
mistaken.
Let's say it's aleph 1.
So to be clear,
Wait, 1 second,
to be
1
clear, the set of propositions has cardinality aleph 1. So
Yeah, and by the way,
okay.
sorry, I'm getting
So
a
go
call on my other phone. So yeah, so if we take 2 and to find the cardinality of the strictly greater set, which is the power set, right? would we get a defined solution or response or not?
So 2 to the Aleph 1 would be Aleph 2.
Okay. And if we were to take 2 to the power of infinity, and infinity
do that.
itself is that. Wait, no, but you do, and I'll tell you why. Because if
No,
you
you
want to
don't.
find the power set or the just 1 second, bro. If you want to find the power set, which is n, and n represents the cardinality of the original set, and by cardinality I mean the number of elements found within the set, then what you would get, and Ian, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, if you do 2 to the power of infinity, you don't get infinity, as you actually have said. What you get is undefined, because infinity itself is not even a number. It's not even an integer. It's just a concept that's in mathematics. Do you agree?
You asking me?
Ian? Yes.
Yeah, I would agree that like the cardinality is like a never-ending thing. In like a sense, you probably couldn't even say that it's like a number.
Okay, good.
But
So what is 2 to the power of infinity?
cardinality would be never-ending, but some
What is 2 to the
never-endings
power
are
of
bigger
infinity?
than other never-endings.
What is 2 to the power of infinity, sir? Professor?
Depends on the infinity.
So you can get a defined response from 2 to the power of infinity?
I mean, if you're using
Are
infinity
you
to
kidding me?
represent the cardinality of a set, you're using
No,
infinity
Dr.
to
Blitz,
represent
that's not
the
what I'm
cardinality
doing.
of a set here. So okay, so
Dr.
then
Blitz, that's not what I'm
why
doing,
did you
though.
then why are you bringing up 2 to the infinity if you're not referring to
I'll tell
if
you,
you're in the context of power sets, mind
tell
you,
you, because
you're
we
bringing up 2 to the
understand
power of
that
infinity
if
in
we're
the context of
representing
power
it
sets,
as-
and you're saying, oh, it's
Can
not
you-
representing the cardinality of some
gosh.
set. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
It just
I'll
seems
tell
kind
you,
of
I'll tell you,
dishonest.
since Ian's confused and you're trying to explain it for him, but I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain what I mean. If we define n as the number of elements found within the original set, all right?
Mm-hmm.
To find the power set of that is the power set to find the power set of the original set. You take 2 and you take the number of the elements that's found within the original
Only
set
for
and you raise
finite
that to
sets.
its exponent, right?
Yeah,
Only for
otherwise it
finite
wouldn't have a
sets.
number. It would be a category error.
No, oh, that's the concession. That's the concession.
Oh,
That's
wait,
the
maybe if he
point,
declares
that if
victory,
the
nobody
set-
will realize
if-
that his
let me
point went
finish.
nowhere.
That's a concession.
He's
That's
trying
a
to declare
concession.
victory
Hey,
because his point like crashed and burned.
Can I finish? No, you don't even know what
Yeah.
we're talking about. You said 2 to the power of infinity is infinity.
Yeah, it's
You don't know
never
anything about
ending,
mathematics. This is all being
specifically.
recorded.
Yeah, this is
Dude,
all recorded
what is
anyway. Wait, calm down,
Ian,
Mouth.
Ian,
You're
what is
getting
2 to the power of
excited.
infinity?
It's never ending.
Why did you say
it's not a
earlier that 2 to the
number.
power of... Wait, okay,
Because
Ian,
we
why
have like
did
a
you say
lay
that 2 to the
audience.
power...
The lay audience
You're
gets
not letting me
confused
finish.
by the
You're not letting
idea
me
that
finish.
infinity isn't a number, but it's never ending.
Hey, Ian, you said that 2 to the power of infinity prior was actually infinity. Why did you say
Yeah,
that?
to help the audience understand. They won't understand
So the
otherwise.
audience, you're misleading them to actually no. I think that's just
It's not really
you're just
misleading
ignorant.
them. It's like
You're
helping them
saying-
understand
you're
that
saying
like what
that-
it is never ending in the same way that infinity
no.
is never ending. But
Yeah,
sure, like
good.
if the
So, I
answer
don't
that
know
you
why
prefer for the
earlier-
cardinality, 2 to the infinity is never ending, and the specific way that it relates to other 2 to the infinities depends on the specific size, the cardinality of the infinity. Like some infinities are obviously greater than other infinities.
Ian, you're baked.
Oh yeah,
Ian, you claim
yeah.
that
After
you
his
claim
point
that
went
2 to
nowhere,
the-
he just tries to
you
declare
claim-
victory again.
Yeah, Ian. So you claim that 2 to the power
You're
of
baked.
infinity
You're
was
baked.
infinity.
He says, getting slammed against the pavement.
Look, so
Yeah,
in his
how
so
much
so
your rhetoric sucks on
Islamic
top of that.
Islamic
So, can I
Islamic.
finish?
Shut up for a
Can I
second.
just finish?
In as far
Can I
as the
finish?
question, even
Can I
no. In
finish?
as far as the no. In as
I
far
can't
as
even
the
finish.
question, no. Of course you can't. This is, you're not the host
How
here.
does it feel to
In
lose,
as far
Dr.
as the
Blitz?
question, in as far as
How
the
does it feel to lose?
question, what does 2 to the
You're
power of
baked.
infinity mean?
You're
In as
baked.
far as okay, I just have to mute
It's
you so that
over.
I
You
can
guys
get my
got
bit out.
slammed.
So in as far as the question, what does 2 to the power of infinity
you got
equal?
baked.
By asking that question, you're screwing yourself. You're baking yourself.
How?
You're cooking yourself by
Hey,
implying
you're getting
that
baked.
2 to the power of infinity is even something that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, if
the
you're gonna say that
implication
Ian
that it's
got
a
cooked
number
for
is
this.
yourself
Dr.
committing a
Blitz, there's a
category
reason-
error.
there's a
Can you
reason why
acknowledge
you
that?
said-
That you're wait, can you acknowledge that
yeah.
your question is a category error?
Ian, it's not a category error because you responded
It
wait,
is.
to
2
then
to
what
the
is-
power of infinity
so-
is nonsense.
so-
Wait, so you don't think
Dude,
2 to the
dude,
power
dude,
of
dude, you
infinity,
just
asking like what is 2 to the power of
embarrassed
infinity?
yourself.
You don't
You
think that
literally
that's a
just
category error?
This is real bad for you,
let me know.
Apex.
Let me know.
Wait,
let me
is
know when
it
I
wait,
can
yes
talk.
or no, is it a category error?
Can I finish?
So wait,
Can
so
I
when you
finish?
ask like what number is 2 to the
can I
infinity,
answer?
that's not a
Dude,
category
my
error,
whole-
but infinity isn't a
dude,
number.
dude.
Wait, so you've now affirmed a
just let
contradiction
me
that it both
finish.
is
Oh my
infinity or
gosh.
that it both is a number and that it's not a number. You're affirming a direct contradiction.
Okay, thank you. Let me reply real quick. So I believe
Please.
in my view, or in any view, that 2 to the infinity is going to
Oh,
be
you're doing it again.
undefined. Okay.
2 to the
2 to the
infinity doesn't.
infinity is
It's not.
undefined.
It's a category error.
Dude,
You can't
dude,
raise
dude,
2 to infinity is
that's
not a number.
exactly
The
why.
exponential
That's
is not a
exactly my
well-defined
point.
operation on infinity.
Dude, that's exactly my point. If you'd let me finish, okay? My exact point
Okay,
is
so
that
what? So when you ask what is
when
2 to the
Ian,
infinity, you
let me
recognize that you're
finish.
asking a question that is
Let me finish,
self-contradictory,
bro.
right?
Oh my, are you gonna let me finish? That's the whole point.
Are you
That
going
when you
to
take
are you
the
going to
original
acknowledge
set,
that? Are you going to
oh
acknowledge
my
that you made a
god,
category error by
oh,
asking what 2 to the infinity is?
dude, that's the whole point. That it's not applicable when you have the original set's elements being infinite. Okay,
Oh,
so
you
that's
can.
why you're not
So the
able.
power set
Can
formula is
you?
totally well defined, by the way.
Can you? Can you
We
let me?
say 2
That's
to the
not what
aleph
I
null.
mean. Oh my
We
god, dude, you're
absolutely
being
can use this.
insufferable.
It's totally well
So
defined.
look. Before I conclude, Ian said that 2 to the infinity is infinity.
Bro's
That's
gonna
Wait,
our
are
put on
you
his
argument.
are
running
you
shoes.
prepping to run? Are you gonna run away?
He conceded that his
This guy's on
argument
like the
is
starting
not. It's
block. He's
flawed.
literally ready to like
There's a
sprint
solution
away
to
at
the
top
argument.
speed.
You got baked. Look at him, guys. Look at him,
Your
chat. Look at
question
him.
was literally a category error, and
Look at
you're
him.
affirming direct
He looks like a
contradictions that 2 to
cupcake.
the infinity both is a number and
You
isn't a
got
number.
baked.
And
Hey,
you can say,
Ian,
you
2
got baked, you got baked. You can
better
rhetorically
luck
beat on
next
your
time.
chest, but
Better luck
every
next
single
time.
person that's tracking the
Thank you, Ian.
conversation,
2 to the
both
power of
rhetorically
infinity
and
is infinity.
substantively, can see that
Destroyed
you keep
yourself,
getting
dumbass.
slammed, and maybe you got slammed so hard that you have a concussion,
He
which is
ran.
why you're not tracking. Oh, he ran?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
The same thing
I
he did
accept
last
your
time we
surrender,
talked
by
to
the
him.
way.
To be clear, it does make sense. You can talk about power sets and you can talk about the cardinality of power sets even for infinite sets. You would say 2 to the aleph naught, for example, the continuum hypothesis, if you accept it, says that that's equal to aleph 1. And that just means that that represents the cardinality of an uncountable set, a particular size uncountable set. But there's no issue with talking about that. It's just the question of 2 to the infinity. What does that mean? By asking that question in the context of power sets, clearly what he's referring to is what is the cardinality of the power set for an infinite set? And it's then reasonable to say that the cardinality of that of a power set for an infinite set is itself infinite. That's totally reasonable to say, by the way.
All right, I've got 3 super chats, friends. We're gonna get our next. guest
Sorry,
in
before you
here.
read them, I just want to bring up one thing. People were calling in the comments for him to come up, and I expected like an actual argument, not just like a semantic gotcha
Yeah.
to try to like have an argument about what infinity means. Like that, this is a really, really bad faith conversation, unfortunately.
That's that's okay. I mean, he like affirms contradictions, right? Like, I don't think he had a good showing.
I just expected better because people were asking for him to come up.
Yeah, I mean, he demonstrated what level of discourse he's at, and so now we know. Colin says, brilliant live again. Love you guys. Well, thank you, Colin. I appreciate that. And I've had a really easy live. I just get to listen to Ian and Blitz cook these callers so far. It's been fantastic. And Daniel, thank you for the super chat, says, y'all ever watch Heroes? Skylar could just understand how things work instantly. Intuition is 100% a legit superpower. Well, I think knowing how something works and intuiting how something works is not always the same. Like intuition builds on prior information and knowledge, which means eventually you'll understand why you understand it because you're building on things that you already know. That's how intuition is. But just knowing it and then having no idea how you know it, I think is somebody who doesn't actually know it. That's my take on it, at least. And last one from our friend Law. Good to see you. Says, Dalton, stop sending super chats. We're trying to build you up. That is the case. Thank you for that, Law. We appreciate that. And that is true. I think he's trying to get a hold of me so that we can get his computer set up. So I think maybe Monday he wants to stream. All right. I'm going to bring in a caller from the YouTube queue that is ready, has the camera and microphone already hooked up and attached. So I know that they're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to bring in Brandon. Brandon, welcome in. Are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I'm at least 18, yes, but I don't believe in God, but I have a message related to it that I wanted to share with you guys and wanted to get your...
Cool. All right. Well, we're looking for people that believe in God. Thanks for coming and watching. We appreciate it. And we're going to get our next guest, this one from the TikTok queue. Quote Wisely has been in the queue for a minute. Welcome in, Quote. Are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Oh, yeah, I am. How you doing, guys?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. Quote, which God do you believe in?
The Christian God.
Cool. What'd be the best evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
So I would say causality and maybe consciousness.
Causality? Well, we can do either one, but
Yeah.
you do have to pick one.
Okay, causality.
Okay. What about causality would demonstrate that the God exists?
I would say that everything must have like a bit that like the reason of creation, right?
You don't think
Everything?
that? You don't think God is like a reason? You think he just exists without being like created?
No, I think God created everything,
But
and
you do
it's
think that
out
like
of
something always existed that was like uncreated, right?
yes, which is God.
Okay, why couldn't we hold that that's like the universe?
Oh, if you're not a believer, you can say the universe, but
Okay.
since I'm a believer, I say it's God.
Oh, okay. That's like that's fine. So, insofar as we agree that it could just be the universe, what's the problem?
No, the I don't have a problem that I just want to know why you guys don't. Like, I guess my question would be, what is your reason for disbelief? What is your reason for
There's no
disbelief?
evidence. So did you have any?
So, no, I'm saying
Oh.
you don't have evidence that God exists or not exists.
What's your evidence that the tooth fairy exists?
The what?
What's your evidence that the tooth fairy exists?
I don't have any evidence of that.
Oh. What's your evidence that the tooth
But
fairy doesn't exist?
yeah, I don't have any evidence of that.
Okay, so then you believe in the tooth fairy?
I don't believe in that, but I don't also say I don't know if it doesn't exist or not. I'm just
Okay,
saying
so
that
you're tooth
you
fairy agnostic. The tooth fairy could exist or it couldn't exist.
I would say that, yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for being honest. Unfortunately, that's not how we operate. We're not agnostic on things that have no evidence for them, and we do have some arguments that would warrant a lack of belief, specifically in the Christian God. So the Christian God specifically entails all kinds of contradictions, like even just the Trinity. Are you a Trinitarian?
Yes, I am.
Do you think the Trinity is logical?
Yeah, I think it's not a question of logic when you talk about Trinity. It's more like faith. It's not based on
No,
logic. It's
it's
more based on faith.
definitely a question of logic. So, all right, do you think that Jesus is 100% God?
Yeah, you know the reason why I say it's not a question of
Whoa,
logic
no, no,
because
no, no, no. I didn't ask for an explanation. I asked for a yes or no. Do you think that Jesus
okay,
is 100% God?
yes,
Cool. Can you be 100% of something without having all of its attributes?
no,
Exactly. Okay. So, what are some of God's essential attributes?
all being, all knowing,
All knowing. Okay. And he's also
uh,
all
uh,
powerful, right?
all all powerful. Yeah,
Omnipresent, maybe?
yeah.
Okay. So, did Jesus have the attributes of being omnipresent and all knowing and all powerful?
According to the Bible, yes.
No. In fact, according to the Bible, no. There were things he didn't know, there were things he couldn't do, and he certainly wasn't omnipresent because he had to travel. And he explicitly stated that the Father is greater than I, which means he's not equal to God. So that means that Jesus could not be 100% God. He can only be part God.
Uh, so when you say that, you obviously didn't really read the Bible because it
I
say that
I
in
did,
order
and
to become
it doesn't say anything that you just said it said.
no, it say that in order to save humanity, he had to be a man, but not
Exactly. Yeah, he
is
was a
God.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a man, but he wasn't 100% God at all.
he was God
That's
before
illogical.
he became a man.
Sure, you can certainly
That's what the
believe that.
Bible says.
You can certainly believe that, but that would make him more than one. There's more than one God.
No.
So okay, so if Jesus is God and God has essential
Uh-huh.
attributes, then Jesus must have God's essential attributes, but he doesn't. He says he doesn't even know the day or the hour of his second coming. So either one of two things is true. Either Jesus isn't God, or Jesus is a
Uh-huh.
second God that has a different set of knowledge than God, Or number 3, God isn't all knowing. So which one of the options do you want to pick?
I know that because everything you say it's Bible related, and I know that in the Bible
true.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
In the Bible it says also.
So which one of these 3 options is the solution that you're going? Which one of the 3 options is the option you want to use to solve the problem? Do you want to say that God's not all-knowing? Or do you want to say that Jesus isn't 100% God, he's only part God? Or do you want to say that there are multiple gods?
There is one God, but there is
certainly
one.
Those were not among the option groups. It's multiple choice. So you can pick A, B, or C. There is no option D.
No, you can put that in like in that, because we can explain God in that way.
We can, yes. We can explain God using logic. Yes, we just did. Do you think logical contradictions exist?
That's what I'm saying. That was my point when you bring logic.
Because do you think that logical contradictions exist?
Human logic is.
Do you think that logical contradictions exist?
God logic.
Yeah, I know. God's got a special logic. You don't know about it.
Yeah,
you
because
can't tell me where it's at, but he's got a special logic. So does that mean that God does that mean that God can create a burrito so hot that he can't eat it?
I can tell you the God logic because
quote, I need an answer to the question. Can God create a burrito so hot that he can't eat it? Gagged. Got him. He can't talk because the burrito's too hot. Quote. Huh. You there?
Hey. Yeah.
Okay?
Someone was calling me. So sorry.
Yeah, that happens.
Yep.
So answer the question then. Can God create a burrito so big that he can't eat it? I'm sorry, so hot that he can't eat it.
Or so big.
Either one, right? They both
His
work.
tummy will get full.
Can God create what? Sorry, I didn't
Can
get
God create a burrito so big and hot that he can't eat it?
I don't understand the logic in what you're saying.
That is the case. You don't understand the logic. But I just need a yes or no. Can God create a burrito so big that he cannot eat it?
I don't think so. Well, I don't get.
So then he's not all powerful. Then
the logic behind that.
Yeah.
So
he's just not all powerful then.
Yeah, we can try another syllogism. We'll try a really easy syllogism. Can God tell a lie? Keep in mind the Bible says no.
Don't give him the answer.
No, I'm saying no.
Right, so God can't tell a lie. Okay, and do you think that Jesus ever told a lie?
No.
Sure. Do you have a Bible on you? Want to go to John chapter 7?
I don't have the Bible right on me. Can you read it?
I got you. I always have a Bible. Okay. Jesus is talking to his disciples. He said to them, "My time has not yet come, but your time is always here. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I testify that its works are evil. Go to the festival yourselves. I am not going to this festival, for my time has not fully yet come." So Jesus says to the disciples, "Go to the festival. I'm not going. My time has not come yet," referring to his crucifixion, right?
Yes.
Are we in agreement? Okay. Now, it says after his brothers had gone to the festival, then he also went, not publicly, but as it were in secret. So Jesus lied to his disciples about going to the festival. He left them, let them go to the festival alone, and then he went in secret to the festival, disguised so nobody would recognize him. That's a lie. So if God can't tell a lie, Jesus can't be God.
I need to read that because I need to read that fully so I can get it. But obviously, I can do it right now and respond to that right now, right away. I'm not a pastor, but yeah, I'm just a regular Christian.
Yeah, I know, and you're nice.
So,
Listen,
but I think God.
I appreciate you
God.
coming up, and we appreciate the conversation. But we're gonna move on to the next guest, okay? Cheers, friend.
Can I ask you?
Listen, here's the deal, friends. I don't think he's. I feel like that might have been punching down too much. I didn't want to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think he was equipped for what was happening. But we appreciate him being up here and giving it his best shot. Optimus Rhyme says, I'm having some serious deja vu. This is the second time people refuse to talk to Blitz.
Yep, it happens sometimes.
First time was with Eric. It hurts my non-existent soul. Indeed. And Corinne, thank you for the super chat, says, I actually have a lot of sympathy for our mechanic caller. One math clicks for you, it's exciting. Once math clicks for you, it's exciting. It actually kind of is. It can be hard in that flush of excitement not to misapply it. I hope he keeps studying. Actually, I hope so too. And to be honest, if he didn't have these weird God beliefs, he could probably use his time applying mathematics towards something beneficial. And hopefully he will. Daniel says, if God doesn't want that burrito, he'll eat it. I mean, well, not if it's so big that he can't eat it. I don't know, Daniel. Were you listening? We got questions about this. Joshua says, since a God violates logic, in the first place, the burrito answer is yes. He can create a burrito too big and too hot, but then he eats it anyways. Well, yeah, if God can violate logic, but then you would have to answer yes. God could create a burrito so big that he couldn't eat it, which then you have to deny one of his essential attributes, which is that he could not create a burrito so large that he couldn't eat it, because that was something he couldn't do. So it's not exactly, we're not saying that you have to affirm contradictions, but if you affirm the contradiction, it's a double-edged sword. Then you have to cede one of God's essential properties. Nectu says, the real sinners here are the ones watching who've not yet subscribed to Unapologetic. Don't get saved, get subbed instead. Indeed, crucify the like button, sub to the channel, friends. We appreciate everybody here. And last one from Jim. Jim says, rip Dwayne Roberts, the inventor of the frozen burrito. Poor Dwayne. Indeed. Rip Dwayne. Nothing but respect for Dwayne, the precursor of the Hot Pocket. Thank you so much. All right,
did he actually die?
I don't know. A good question, though. We're going to try inferential esoteric again, since they're back. If we talk to inferential, if this is our second time chatting, let us know. I'm curious if this is our first or our second chat. Welcome back, inferential. Inferential?
Can you hear me?
There we go. We can hear you. Inferential, is this our first time chatting?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. We do talk to some people with similar names, so it's hard to tell. Inferential, are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yeah, I'm 18 and I believe in God.
And which one would that be?
I was listening to... I believe in the Christian God.
Okay.
I was listening to the debate with Islamic Apex. What was the critique you're running to do with set theory?
Oh, well, we don't run this argument.
He came in to critique an argument that Ian ran 6 months ago.
Yeah. It's you probably heard of it. It's the God's knowledge, omniscience is a violation of Cantor's theorem.
Oh yeah, but that's not a set, that's a proper clause.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly right. When you use the proper mathematical object, then the problem goes away, which is why I stopped running it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think that the current datum is going to be more expected under theism, such that it warrants belief in theism.
Which datum specifically, or which data specifically are you referring to?
Minds existing.
It's better supported under theism than it is under some non-theistic position.
It's more expected.
Yeah.
When you
so
say that's supported, that seems like it's abducted.
Sorry, no. I just misspoke. That's all. So to be clear, which form of theism are we talking? Are we talking classical theism?
Yeah, we're referring to classical theism.
And which form of atheism are you referring to here?
Form of atheism.
Yeah, right. I mean, because
disbelief in any god.
Right. So I mean, if you're going to make comparisons, then you should compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, right? So if you're going to propose a specific kind of theism, classical theism, where there exists a being with a mind with certain properties and certain relations to physical things, then you should compare it to a specific kind of atheism, right? Perhaps some sort of naturalism or some sort of Platonism or whatever it might be.
Well, no,
Something that has some equal number of defined properties and defined relations, perhaps. Otherwise, you're not really comparing apples to oranges, or apples to apples, rather.
Well, I'd need to. I mean, all I'm doing is just comparing the theistic hypothesis to non-theistic hypothesis.
Well, no, you're comparing the classical theistic hypothesis to a generic non-theistic hypothesis, right? So you're not comparing apples to apples.
Non-theistic one, for that matter. Yeah, classical one, sure, but with any non-theistic hypothesis. But this naturalism also an alternative that's non-naturalistic. It's still more expected.
On any non-theistic hypothesis? How do you figure?
Yes. Yeah, because you want to say that for any x, if x is God, right, x is going to be all loving. If x is all loving, right, then x is going to want to share is love between things. Obviously, in order to share love, the thing you're sharing it must be able to receive love, right? The only type of things that can receive love are things of minds. So then you'd expect minds and virtue.
No, that's great. So, maybe that's the case. But the question is not whether or not you expect minds on classical theism. I think we can probably all agree that you would probably expect minds on classical theism. The question is it the case that any kind of non-theism expects minds less? Or expects fewer minds or doesn't expect minds at all?
I wanted to say the probability is lower, right? Because we can maybe agree that
what theism are you comparing, or what non-theism are you comparing it with?
And we can just say naturalism, for instance. That really helps.
Okay, so you're saying that minds are better expected under classical theism than under naturalism?
Yep.
Okay, so how is that a refutation of atheism?
Well, I was saying any non-theistic hypothesis, but you wanted to specify one, so I said naturalism.
Well, I wanted you. So if you're saying any and by the way, this is exactly what the precepts do too. They say, well, this argument can only be. I know you're not a precept. I'm saying that the argument style is similar. You're saying that, well, this is better expected compared to. Oh, you are a precept. Oh, okay, then that checks out. So then you can totally relate to what I'm about to say. So the precept argument is, this is preceptors will say XYZ thing is unexplainable unless you posit a God. And then you ask them, okay, well, how do you show that it's unexplainable? And then they point to one specific thing, one specific worldview that can't explain it. But that's not sufficient to demonstrate that it's unexplainable for all worldviews that don't propose a God. And you're doing the same thing here. You're saying that, well, you would better expect minds under classical theism than you would under any natural or under any non-theistic worldview. And then I ask you how you demonstrate that, and you say, oh, well, but naturalism, it's better expected under classical theism than naturalism. I'm like, look, that's not all non-theistic worldviews. You have to do better than that.
Yeah. That's my mistake, yeah. No. So the way we determine that it's going to be more expected under this particular type of theism, in contrast to any non-theistic hypothesis, just saying that by definition of what atheism is, which is the disbelief in a God, and God's just going to be any being that's omnipotent, omniscient, and all-loving and agential, right? And that's going to be the thing that expects minds the most out of any other possible explanation. You'd say, given that's bereft of that thing, expects it the most.
What about atheistic panpsychism?
Yeah, panpsychism would make minds way more expected.
It's just not possible. That's logically impossible. So it would be in space.
You're a bit muffled. Could you speak up?
It'd be logically impossible, though.
Panpsychism?
Yep.
Why?
How?
Yeah, so if we take some computationalist view in the mind, right, do you want to say that for any act?
He dropped. What the fuck? This happened last time where he just randomly dropped.
Yeah, we've talked to him before. He says we haven't, but I recognize his voice. I know for a fact we've talked to him.
No, that's what I was saying, right? I was saying that in chat. You could tell. I feel like you can just tell by the name.
Yeah.
But
okay, well, I guess we'll move on to the next guest. Let's grab John Stone from the YouTube queue, and we'll keep the conversations rolling.
John, welcome.
Yeah. John, how you doing? Are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Hey, how you doing? Yes and yes.
Awesome. And which God do you believe in?
Well, this is all my personal opinion. I believe in a spirit world, a Gnosticism, Manichaeanism, an afterlife, if you will.
I think that we've all spoken with him before, right?
John?
I think so.
A week ago we had a bad audio connection. Yeah, Dr. Blitz, I've talked to you a couple times about other things, and we talked briefly, I think, on Wednesday.
Yeah, I thought so. But like, look, we're interested in talking about like whether a God exists. You could believe in spirits while being an atheist. Like, these are not mutually incompatible. They often don't show up hand in hand, but it's possible. So like, is there a defense of the view that there is a mind that is responsible for creating or sustaining the universe?
Yes. I mean, what I was trying to articulate to you is I tried to discuss Michael Aquino and Aleister Crowley with you, and you just didn't want to do it, and that's fine. I actually thought of other things I could talk to you about.
Wait, John, did you come on my live stream with the same talking points?
Yeah, he talked to both of us about it.
I remember somebody just recently doing Aleister Crowley talking points.
Yep.
Well, we had a bad audio connection, so we only talked for a few minutes.
Sounds about right.
That was about a week ago. That was last Sunday.
So what's your argument for God existing then? Or do you believe in just one God or like a pantheon? What's your situation?
I believe that God controls or is in charge of good spirits, and Lucifer is in charge of evil spirits, and Lucifer rules the material world.
Sure. So what's the evidence that any of this is true?
Okay, so again, we don't have to, if y'all don't want to talk about Michael Aquino and Aleister Crowley, I would also mention Anton LaVey, Helena Blavatsky.
Yeah, but
the question it doesn't matter, right? Like, what's the evidence? We don't care about them. You know, the name drops or whatever. What you need to provide is evidence.
Okay, how about, why don't we talk about occult symbolism in Hollywood and MTV and Disney? How about we talk about...
Let's say all of those people are Satanists. Why does that mean that what they believe is true?
Well, like, see, Albert Pike, Aquino, Crowley, Blavatsky. I don't think Blavatsky, Helena Blavatsky, I think she's more of a mystic.
Yeah, no, we're not asking you about
we don't care.
We're asking you, what's the evidence that what they believe is true?
Yeah.
Well, again, why if we talk about occult symbolism in Hollywood, in the music industry, why?
Granted, let's say we grant all of that. Let's say we grant every single piece of that, and that they are like a cult that are trying to do evil. Let's say we grant all of that. Why does that mean that their metaphysical beliefs are true?
Well, you just said you granted it.
We didn't.
I grant that they believe it. For the sake of argument, of course.
Okay.
So for the sake of argument, I grant that they believe all of it. Why would that mean that it's true?
Why would they bother?
Why do Christians bother? Maybe they
stupid
think
people
that
are dumb sometimes.
Yeah, people hold all sorts of wacky beliefs about spirituality.
Okay, I believe that there is occult symbolism in Hollywood, like in movies.
We're granting that.
All right. So, John, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna ask you for the last time. What's the actual argument for why what they believe is true? We already know what you believe. We're not asking what you believe. We're not asking who else believes it. We're asking what would be the evidence that these belief systems are true.
You mean from the point of view of like Crowley? Is that what you mean?
No, from your point of view.
My point of view. Okay. Well. Again, yeah. I'm trying to explain these things, and you don't.
We don't want the explanation. We want the evidence. Just give the evidence.
No, we don't need the explanation. No, it's not. Explanations are not evidences.
We don't want the lore drop. We want the evidence.
Okay.
What's one piece of evidence that we can't explain under naturalism?
Do you know what Bohemian Grove is? Do you know what
yes,
that is?
Yeah.
You do. Okay.
I'm
so
aware.
You don't actually have an
Yeah,
an
it's where supposedly all these rich people gather in like California.
Yeah.
He did the same thing on My Life. He wasted 15 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not going
Thanks,
to do
Blitz.
that. Thanks for fixing that for us. I didn't want to go because before he dropped on my live stream, we were in the same ring around the rosy. Gretchen, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Good to see you. Says check John Stone's stance on. Oh fuck no, adrenochrome.
No, it totally checks out that his beliefs on adrenochrome and stuff is like 100%.
1,000,000% he'd be on board with that, and the government turning the frogs gay, I'm sure. Aaron, thank you for the $10 super chat. It says a just story explains nothing since it can accommodate any unexpected phenomenon. How did they determine God's desires to create? X thing is unexplained. Shoe stealing fairies are the explanation. Agreed. You know, that's my biggest complaint with presupps is I can think of 100 other things that would fit like the presuppositionalist preconditions other than a god. There's all kinds of things I could fit into that gap. Like presupp is like they're trying to do a god of the gaps, but of the metaphysical sense. It's needless and silly. All right, let's grab our next guest from the queue, and we'll keep on rolling. And I don't know who was here next, but I feel like Track of All Jades was next.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
I thought so. How you doing, Track?
Hey, let me get my headphones real quick.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Track, are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yes. 28 Christian.
Awesome. And
Cool.
what do you think is the best evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
Yeah. So I would say I'm definitely I'm a huge fan of you guys. I would say I'm definitely deconstructing in part because of what you guys are saying, but I'm not there yet because I think there are still some compelling things, and the most compelling I would say right now for me is the kind of moral argument stuff that I don't think atheism can really account for morals or specifically objective morals.
And do you think? Wait, sorry. What religion did you say you were?
That's gonna hurt.
Christian.
Okay. So why ought I listen to what God says? Like, what reason? Let's say I think God is real, but I don't care what he has to say. I don't care if he tortures me forever. What reason would I have to do what he tells me?
Yeah, I would say that you ought to listen to what God says because he created us, and so built into us is the predisposition to follow what he says.
Well, I'm not asking because you're giving me an answer that's not normative but descriptive. You're saying, well, we listen to him because we're pre-built to listen to him. I'm asking what reason do I have to listen to him? Why does him creating me mean that I have a reason to listen to him?
I guess that's a tough question. I mean, I would say, I don't know. I guess why is it wrong to say the reason that you should listen to what God says is because you're I guess I can't say you're supposed to because that's just restating the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that God kind of built in built into our framework I don't know any other word to say besides predisposition to do what he says. So as agents created by God, our goal is to do what God says.
Yeah, so the problem is it's just gonna be the same objection from before. I'm asking a normative question about reasons for action. What reason do I have to listen to him? But you're not giving me a normative answer. You're giving me a descriptive answer. You're not telling me what reason I have. You're telling me a descriptive fact that I'm hardwired to listen to him. I listen to him because I'm hardwired to listen to him. But that doesn't really tell me what reason I have to listen to him. Certainly you think it's possible for somebody to think God exists and I have no reason to listen to him, right?
I wouldn't say that that person is doing something that's necessarily logical,
What would be
but you
illogical about
could make
that?
that choice. It would be illogical to make a choice that necessarily goes against your predispositions.
How are you predisposed to if you like don't do it?
Well,
Like
you can
like in what way are
do
you
things that you're not
predisposed to?
predisposed to. Yeah, like I would say like it's not like 100% predisposition. I would say we have like a 99% predisposition that kind of erodes over time as you choose to go against it.
I'm just still unclear. Like what reason would you have to listen to it? Just that you're like predisposed to? I don't think lots of people are predisposed to listen to God. Otherwise, you would expect them to believe in God.
Yeah, I think that in general when we're all created, we are starting out with that predisposition, but as we choose more and more to go against that, then that kind of erodes that predisposition and it gives way to like a more sinful disposition.
Do you think the ancient Greeks were predisposed to listen to God, Yahweh specifically?
Um, yeah, I'd say so.
That seems like super implausible.
Um, I mean, I guess no, I totally see where you're coming from. It does sound implausible. I think that they kind of replaced their predisposition with God with a sort of like trying to worship gods that they thought exist.
Well, I mean, like famously, the Greeks didn't think that the gods were like paragons of virtue. They thought they were like just some dudes.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
that is a good point.
So, kind of the argument is this: universal moral obligations would require universal reason. So, every single moral agent would need some sort of reason to listen to God. And it seems totally coherent to say, I think God exists, but I'm just not going to listen to him. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a contradiction in doing that.
Hmm. Do you think that it has to be like a reason that logically follows, or do you think there could be some sort of, I guess, coercion or I can't think of the other word, but like something that's like a not logical reason,
Say it again.
like um, like a reward slash punishment kind of idea that's not necessarily like a logical reason to follow.
So there's like two things. The first is that you can run the question back once more, which is like, why does me getting punished give me a reason to do something? But the second is that if your ethics hinge upon whether or not you get punished, then that means that the only moral obligation you ever have is to avoid punishment, which means that as long as you're like seeking repentance, it's not that you ought not sin, it's that if you sin, you ought seek repentance. Which I don't think that's the sort of moral system you want to like advocate for. I don't think you're saying like if Adolf Hitler seeked repentance in his final moments, then he actually didn't fail any moral obligation. Like that seems pretty absurd.
There's also an issue with
Yeah, I agree.
the punishment model, namely, that just boils down to preference, right? You prefer not to have punishment, you prefer to have reward. And so then it just seems like that your morals are merely preference based at their
Yeah,
at their
you know,
foundation.
those I think those are really good points. I guess I would just ask like why ought anybody do anything then if that's like the nature of like the is ought thing.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that there's like pretty compelling arguments related to agency that the key feature of agents is that they've made an evaluation that something is worth pursuing, and they do that by pursuing it. That when you set like a goal, you deliberate about your life, you say, I'd like to achieve this goal, maybe say college. By doing that, you've made an evaluation that this is like the type of thing that you ought achieve, which means that you're committed to saying that you ought have the means to do it. Now, what's going to be required for every single goal that you could possibly have is just the freedom and well-being to actually like go ahead and pursue it. So in that sense, every single person would say that they ought have their freedom and well-being, which means that, of course, others ought not interfere with it. So they're claiming a right to it. They're saying, I have a right to my freedom and well-being just on the basis of my agency. But if you have this right on the basis of your agency, then agency in itself must be sufficient for the right in itself to freedom and well-being. So then all agents must rationally recognize that every other agent also has a right to freedom and well-being. So there is no is-ought gap because there is an ought intrinsic to all actions that an agent might do, which means that we're fully capable of establishing moral rights, that everyone has a right to freedom and well-being just with logic.
So why ought I pursue my goals?
Because they're your goals. By definition, you ought pursue them, right? Like you pursue your goals, otherwise they wouldn't be your goals.
I can have a goal and choose to not pursue it.
Then we would probably say that you were never actually aiming at that goal.
I wasn't aiming at that goal, but I still had that goal.
I don't think you did. If you took literally no step at all towards achieving it, I don't think that you actually held that goal. You might like that state of affairs, but I think that's different from, saying like this is a goal of mine and actually like going out and pursuing it. Like part of what it means to be a goal is that it's like a thing that you're pursuing.
So okay, so you're defining in part a goal as that which you pursue.
Yeah.
Okay. So then why must agents all have goals?
What an agent is somebody who pursues things via their agency. So to pursue things via your agency means that you've deemed some things as worth pursuing. And in order to pursue those things, you would need your freedom and well-being, which of course means that you need to claim a right to it.
Right. So you're saying somebody is not an agent if they deem things worth pursuing and they don't pursue those things?
Well, in virtue of pursuing something, you've deemed that thing is worth pursuing. To pursue something that's not worth pursuing is illogical. At that point, you would just be contradicting yourself.
I do agree. You can't really. It wouldn't make sense to pursue something that's not worth pursuing. But I'm saying.
Oh, easy answer. You would be illogical
not
if you did what you're describing.
That you would deem as worth pursuing.
Yeah, you would just be contradicting yourself if you're doing what you describe. You'd both say like it's worth pursuing, but also it's like not worth pursuing.
Yeah, why ought I be logical in that case?
Well, everyone's aimed at logic. The denial of logic would presuppose logic, which means that like logic is just inescapable. It's not even a question about what you ought do. It's a question of every single person accepts logic because the denial of logic would presuppose it. It's inescapable.
I can presuppose that logic exists and purposefully choose to not be logical.
Oh, well, it's like obviously illogical. So then your view is wrong.
Yeah. So why
Then your view is wrong.
I pursue that which is logical?
So if the only correct view is the one that I'm proposing, then all the other views are wrong. And my view tells you that you ought to pursue your goals.
I guess I'm trying to like see where you're getting the ought from, like living a life that is logical. If logical is presupposed before your goal.
So the ought comes from the intrinsic property of being an agent. That agents just, in this argument, agents are essentially defined as those things that are aiming to achieve some goal.
Yeah.
An
Like if you just
agent,
don't do, if
just
you don't
like
take any action, like we just probably wouldn't call you an agent.
if you don't take any action towards goals that you deem worth pursuing.
Well, yeah. Well, if you just don't take any action.
So what's to say that like our agency is? Oh, so you're just defining agency in that way.
Yeah, agency is just like the pursuit of specific goals. Like a being that sets goals and pursues them.
Okay. And what is the like, I guess, moral relevance of being an agent?
Yeah, it's that you get normativity, you get reasons. Insofar as you're setting and pursuing goals, specifically like the language that we'd probably use is you're taking means to achieve your ends. And an end is just like something that you have like a reason to do. Maybe like a state of affairs that you have like a reason to bring about.
And also keep in mind, the reason why we're discussing agents is because we're all agents.
Yep.
This is just the thing that we are. We all match this description of, a being or an object that has goals and seeks to achieve them.
That's a really interesting argument. I think that's a good point. Yeah, I would have to say that at least initially, I would have to say that I concede on that because that does sound objective to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you're presupposing logic, which you probably should do that.
Well, it's my claim is that everyone does that. That it's like not possible to deny logic because you would need to use logic to deny logic.
Well, do you think logic is like universal or do you think it's like emergent?
I think that it depends at what level you're asking that question. I think like the underlying structures that necessitate logic, that those are deeper than humans, but like the words themselves, I think that happens at like the human level.
Okay, so like the intelligibility of the universe, would you say is like something deeper than humans?
It's kind of hard to know what it means to say the universe is intelligible absent the existence of something that is able to understand it. So, we have the types of brains that are capable of making sense of the universe, and the universe is in such a way where there are some brains that can make sense of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Man, I guess I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm kind of grasping at straws for like reasons to stick with Christianity. Like I really want to because everybody in my family and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm just struggling more and more to find like why I should do it.
Well, I think we empathize with that track. Since I think you feel like the moral argument is interesting, let's kind of flip it on its head since we've got you here. So, when we come to like the morality in the Christian framework, the reality is, I think it's worse than in atheism. In atheism, for example, you might be compelled to take on Ian's viewpoint of morals, or you might be compelled to take on like a relativistic view on morals, like there are no objective morals. But if you're a Christian, you have to take on divine command theory. That's all that's left, is that your morals just exist because God commands you to do it, which means if God told you that you needed to like murder a baby, it would be morally acceptable for you to murder a baby, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Right. And then we see in the Bible, we see God giving commands like that. He commands the murdering of babies quite often, and even like the kidnapping and sexual assault of women. So, for example, in Deuteronomy 21, when you get the rules for going out to war, He says, when you go out to war against your enemies and the Lord your God hands them over to you and you take them captive, suppose you see among the captives a hottie toddy whom you desire and want to marry. And so you bring her to your home, to your house. She shall shave her head and pare her nails, discard her captive's garb, and remain in your house a full month, mourning for her father and mother. After that, you may go into her and be her husband. She shall be your wife. But it says if you're not satisfied with her, you let her go free. So here's the thing, like, to be in the God world, the Christian God world, that is, you have to find a way to justify the kidnapping and forceful bribery of women in war. But certainly, like, you wouldn't think that that was ever an acceptable practice, right?
No, I mean it doesn't seem like it to me, but like I guess your contention, it feels like it's not with like the actual moral of it, but it's just with the fact that I believe God exists in the first place.
No, no. What I'm saying is, if morals are important to you, and it sounds like they are, because that's the argument you were working with, then that means you have to affirm God doing horrific atrocities in the Bible, and you have to twist yourself into a pretzel trying to figure out why that was objectively morally okay. Which I don't think you want to do, Track. I think you're too honest for that. I don't think you want to go around trying to justify why God said it's okay to rape women, why God said it's okay to murder babies, why God said it's okay to stone women if they don't bleed on their wedding night. Are those things that you think are justifiable positions?
Well, I would say that absolutely all of those things are horrible, and I would never do them myself. And if I
But
got
are they
divinely commanded to do so, I probably would not believe that I was being divinely commanded to do so and not do the thing because it
but
sounds so horrible.
but could you then say that if it's objectively moral to, I don't know, stone a woman who didn't bleed on her wedding night in the Bible, then it would be objectively moral to do it today. What? Why would we? Why would we shy away from that? Or is it because morals are actually relative and they change over time and we make them up?
I don't think it's the second thing. I guess can I ask you a question
I mean,
related to that?
yeah, yeah, uh huh.
Yeah. Um,
We're losing your track. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I got a call. Um, if you had knowledge that some terrorist was gonna unalive the entire population of the world, if you didn't stone a woman, then would you think it morally good to do so?
Are you suggesting that God had no other choice than to stone innocent women to save the world?
No, 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 definitely not. No, I'm simply offering that
Well, did the
you, in
women
your worldview,
did the women have to get stoned innocently? Is it a
I
requirement?
don't see any good reason for that. No,
Right.
all
Okay.
I'm saying is
So
that you, in your
then
worldview,
well,
would
we're actually talking about your worldview right now. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in divine command theory, and personally, I'm not even convinced of objective morals yet. Ian's arguments are still working on my heart. The Lord of Apologetics isn't working, but Ian's arguments are working.
Yeah.
So, but
One
but
day, one
again,
day.
but again, like, this is how internal critiques work. I'm examining your moral philosophy, right? So in your moral philosophy, that means you have to find a way to say that it was somehow necessary and good for God to command women to get stoned if they weren't virgins on their wedding night. How do you square that?
yeah, I don't think that it's possible that I could know the reason. Are you a moral absolutist then?
I'm a moral relativist. I don't even believe in objective morals. I think they're subjective. That's why I'm using an internal critique. I'm appealing to your sense of morality, not mine. So my sense of morality is irrelevant. I'm asking you, do you understand that there's a problem in your worldview, which is that in your worldview, you have to find a reason why God commands innocent people to suffer for crimes they didn't commit?
Yeah, so I would say that in my worldview that I currently hold, um, any action in and of itself is not necessarily bad in a given context. And I would offer that I think you probably believe the same way, unless you're a moral absolutist.
I believe in subjective morals. I think we make them up. But again, that doesn't solve the problem, which is how do you justify God having innocent women murdered?
I personally could not justify that aside from just
Perfect.
saying that God is correct whenever he does things.
Right. So then that means in your moral framework, you have to assume that sometimes it's good, it's morally good behavior to murder innocent people for crimes they never committed.
Um, I don't think that that's an insane proposition.
I think it's insane, by the way.
Okay.
So I guess
Okay, so
I want to finish the last leg of this rabbit trail, and then we'll kind of put a bow tie on the moral argument. So what that means then is, if you believe that God told you to say burn down your neighbor's house, it would be morally good to obey that command.
I mean, again, I wouldn't do it, but I
I
would
didn't
think
ask
I
you
would
if
be
you would.
sinning and
Again,
I think I would
I'm
be
not
sinning and
asking
not.
I'm not asking you if you would. I'm just asking what would be the morally correct thing to do. So the morally correct thing to do would be to burn down your neighbor's house. Now, imagine for a second that God said, "I need you to burn down the local orphanage with all the babies in it." The morally correct thing would be to burn it down, right?
I mean, I suppose so, yeah.
Sure. And then if God said, actually, don't burn down the orphanage track, I need you to go to the orphanage, take all the babies, throw them into the meat grinder, grind them up into baby paste, and then put them in toothpaste bottles and do baby paste toothpaste and brush your teeth every morning in baby toothpaste. That would be the morally correct thing to do in your worldview?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I think I'm
Yeah.
forced to say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking. I was just pushing to the logical limit of the moral argument. So, just to be clear, then, your moral position is that sometimes it's okay to do baby paste toothpaste, and to us, we find that to be absurd, and that's fine.
Can I ask you a question then about that?
Yeah.
If if you knew that a terrorist was going to unalive everybody on Earth, unless you did the baby paste toothpaste thing, would you do it?
You
Do
know,
you?
I don't know. Maybe I'll answer this because this is like directly related to the stuff that I'm currently reading. That sounds like a tragic moral dilemma to me. If somebody's in a situation as horrific as that, I don't think I could fault them for either decision. But the
I agree.
unfortunate thing is that God could command you to do that for no reason, and you would still think it's justified. No terrorists, no greater good, no nothing, and it would still have to be justified in your view.
And also, it entails that God's not all powerful, because it means that God couldn't do something unless he commanded the baby paste. But with an all powerful God, he could do it any way he wants to without the baby paste.
Well, my claim is not that God's hands are tied in that. I'm just saying that in my worldview, the top moral stance or the top moral thing is to obey God. In your
Yeah,
worldview, it's
which
probably
is
something like
crazy.
preventing the most harm. So if you were in a situation in which you would be forced to do baby toothpaste in order to prevent the most harm, you also would be
It
thinking
is
that
doctor
it's morally
recommended.
okay to do that.
Four out of five dentists agree.
There are
I mean,
certainly
would you do that?
circumstances where I at least
No.
wouldn't fault someone for doing it, though I think that it's like, again, it's what Rosalind Hursthouse describes as a tragic moral dilemma, where either route is horrific. Um, and at that point, you can't really blame the person for whatever route they take. Like the trolley problem, for example. If you're in this horrific situation, you might think that there's a right answer, you might think that there's a wrong answer, but it's like horrific either way. I probably wouldn't be too hard on anyone, regardless of what answer they choose. Likewise, in like a situation like the one you're describing, horrific situation, Probably wouldn't fault someone for using the baby paste, wouldn't fault someone for not using it. I think that both answers are like totally reasonable and could be performed by like a good moral individual. But in your worldview, you're committed to saying that you could do this with literally nothing. Like nothing could be at stake. It could just be God saying, do this atrocity, and then you'd have to do it.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying is the contention that you have is not my moral system. It is the fact that I believe in God, in the Christian God, in the first place. Because you have to admit, if the Christian God existed, then you would also think that this was the moral thing to do, because you're not a moral absolutist.
No, that's not the case. I wouldn't think that at all, because we don't know if God is good. See, you're assuming that God is good and therefore it's moral to obey him. God could just be an immoral prick. He could just be a jackass that likes baby paste. So your God existing has nothing to do with whether or not your God is even good.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't clear when I say the Christian God exists. That would imply that he's good, but I do agree with you. We can't really know if God is good or not because he's done things that we think are insane.
You got it. You nailed it. Anyways, Track, we appreciate you being honest with us. A lot of people aren't willing to do that, so a big W there. But continue thinking on these subjects. I really hope that you watch this video back and think about some of the things, because these are actually really important arguments in terms of like trying to figure out what you believe in. Because like when you hear it back later, like I got to be honest, it's going to be hard for you to stomach the idea that in your worldview it reduces you to baby paste. At least I hope that's hard for you to listen to.
I mean, yeah, that sounds horrible. I don't think I would ever do that, and I think I would sin in order to not do that.
Yeah, we're with you. We'd call a God an asshole and move on. I wouldn't make the baby paste. I'd call his fucking bluff. Anyways, Trek, thanks for coming up and chatting with us. We'd love to hear from you again in the future, okay?
I love you guys. I'm a huge fan.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Well, W Track, I hate the fact that we had to baby paste him because he was nice, but when we're talking about the moral argument, I feel like it's kind of necessary to push it to the logical extent. Am I wrong?
No, I think it's like reasonable, right? Like it is good to like place like the intellectual price tag on the view, saying like this is what you're committed to. You understand that.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, I hate that I had to do it to him, but he was nice. Hopefully he deconstructs and he'll be in a healthier place later. Herbie, thank you for the super chat, says, I'm here for my usual Sunday evening of atheist content, cross channels on YouTube. Thank you, gentlemen. Herbie, thank you for being here. We really appreciate that, friend. Big W. And Grimlock's with us. Good to see you, Grimlock. Says, if God is real, he predisposed me to oppose him, so why should I listen to him when he can't meet up to my standards? Indeed. Fuck, it would be his standards if he predisposed you to have those standards. He's not meeting his own standards, Grim. Good to see you, friend. I hope you're doing well. And Gretchen, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Big W, friend, says, did God tell the GOP to take away food from people? That's the craziest thing, is the God that they're trying to jam down people's throat is not the Jesus of the Bible. Jesus said, sold all that you have and give it to the poor. Like Jesus was functionally a socialist at best. No way he would have been a capitalist. He didn't even have a fucking home. He says the Son of Man has nowhere to even lay his head. Dude was a homeless, wandering socialist that said to give all that you have and give it to the poor. That don't even worry about money. Don't worry about what you eat or what you wear. God will provide it for you. Lee says, I know absolutely nothing about what Dr. Blitz, Ian, or the caller Islamic were discussing. Agreed. I had to let them take that one. Seriously, did I miss Islamic's evidence for God? He didn't have any.
Well, the discussion wasn't like one where he was presenting evidence for God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came on to try to argue against an argument that no one was making.
Indeed.
No, it's because there's actually a funny story that goes along with it. So like a while ago, he was like raising up this like one girl on her channel, and then I was like there, like watching it, and then I went up because the discussion was about Islam, and I ran that argument against him, and he got like obliterated so hard on the Cantor's theorem argument that he actually had to block my account, and he had to keep on blocking my like follow up, like my backup accounts that would come on and say like, why are you blocking me? Like, stop blocking me. So I think
That's so embarrassing.
I think he harbors some anger in his heart, which leads him to embarrass himself in the way that he did. But
I believe that.
you
That
know,
sounds
it's
right.
okay. We were all, by the way, he's like, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's like 17. You know, we were all 17 once.
You know everything when you're 17. I get that. I was there once. Minda says, "Thanks for the stream, guys. What's your jam right now?" Jam like musical jam? I don't know if I have a hot playlist. I don't know. What's your jam, fellas?
I'm a Mitski super fan. I love Mitski.
Okay.
You should go to Spotify and type in Beast in Black, and then just
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to the top 5 songs.
I know this won't surprise
Or
people.
Ghost.
When I'm home alone, I listen to Dead Silence, and I love every minute of it. Atlas Die, thank you for the $5 super chat. Great to see you, friends. I love the brain charge and entertainment you guys give on Sundays. Thank you. Well, thank you, Atlas, for being here. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
We do our
And
best.
We are going to get our next guest in here, which it might be Laptop 7, if I'm keeping track of the queue correctly.
Could be.
I've talked to Laptop myself on my channel before, but I don't know if we've talked to him on this channel. Welcome back, Laptop. Are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Laptop, am I remembering correctly that you're a Christian?
Yeah, I believe in God of the Bible.
Awesome. And what's the best evidence or argument for the Bible God existing?
Would I be able to ask some qualifier questions in order to present my evidence? Because I guess
that's
the
fair.
question I would ask is like, what like if your worldview, does it allow for a God to exist? Like, is it even possible, or does your worldview sort of discount the possibility for a God to exist? I guess
Well,
that's
he
what I would
certainly
ask.
doesn't exist in my worldview as it currently stands. If you had like good evidence that would like override the rest of my worldview, then certainly I would need to reevaluate it. Right now, I lean towards physicalism, and obviously a God doesn't exist in that. But you know, if you provided me like really good evidence for God's existence, or really good evidence, or which would of course entail that physicalism is false, then I would go back and reevaluate the idea that everything is physical.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be along the lines of like naturalistic reductionism or something, that everything is, you're able to explain everything according to its physics and chemistry, or that everything is matter and energy. I guess. So like
I
in
don't know.
that case, you wouldn't even.
I'm personally like a Platonist, but yeah, like I think our universe is physical. Like I don't think there's anything in our universe other than like the physical stuff.
Well, right, and then I've had a conversation with you recently, and I think I've talked to all three of you guys independently, and I don't want to do tag. That's not my intention, but I think the question that tag raises is the transcendental categories, like universals, and the question is if they exist independent of a human mind thinking of them, or is a human mind discovering these things like logic and mathematics. And I guess my question would be, is something like logic or mathematics, are those physical or non-physical?
It depends what level you're asking about them. I think that logic is necessitated, like logic is like a thing that is required for intelligibility, is just necessitated by the fact that things have different properties. You know, we have the types of brains that make distinctions between things, and in order to do that, that requires logic. We couldn't do that absent logic, insofar as you need to be able to discern like what has what properties, which means that it doesn't have like some other set of properties.
Sounds like you're saying that we need brains to have logic.
I don't know. I think it's like a messy topic.
Ooh,
It kind of depends what level of logic you're asking about. I think the underlying the underlying structures that necessitate logic, well, those are going to have necessary existence independent of human mind. I personally think mathematics has independent existence of human mind. But like obviously like the words, or like maybe like the formalization of the fact that things are distinct from other things,
Right.
well, that requires the mind.
Right. So mathematics is, or logic is a derivative of mathematics. Is that what you're saying then?
No, I think logic is derivative of difference. I think as soon as there's two things that are different from each other, that necessitates the three classical laws of logic, because then the statement A is not B is true. You've imported the not operator and the and operator, and I guess also the or operator, which necessitates the three classical laws of logic.
So
Would not operator necessitates the not and operator?
Sorry, which
We'll
one?
have to have a conversation about this later.
Dr.
No,
Blitz
I got you.
joining the
But
fight
that
on the side
under-
of the transcendental argument for God.
I like it. But under that argument, you would say that logic is a product of a human mind or brain, right?
Not really. It depends what level you're asking, right? I think difference exists absent human brains. But in terms of like the formalization of it, like saying like, you know, a statement is either true or it's not true. Like words are obviously creations of humans, but what the words point to, I think the words point to something deeper than humans.
Which is
Like difference
non-physical, I guess
itself
that's my
as the
question.
necessary foundation for logic. Or not even necessary, just
And that-
sufficient foundation for logic.
But that necessary foundation, is it immaterial or is it material? I guess that's my question.
Well, there's lots of things that are different from lots of other things, so it's kind of a weird question. It's just difference itself.
Well, like math.
Logic emerges
Like
from
math,
difference
I guess
itself.
Yeah, so is it necessary that it's like, does it have to be tied to something physical? That's my question. Does
I don't think so.
math, or I guess there's two different questions. I guess if it's math or logic, I can do the same argument for math.
Yeah, we actually,
does math
I can just
exist,
take like
or
a.
mathematics exists absent of something physical.
I mean, if you just want like a simpler answer, if you just want like a simpler, more direct view, other than like what I hold, then I'm happy to just say that it emerges from mathematics, insofar as there's different numbers.
Right, and those different numbers are material or immaterial? I guess that's my question.
Immaterial. I'm a Platonist.
Yeah, so and then that would go to my argument for the existence of God. If your worldview has play to where there's immaterial things that exist, I would just my argument is that there's information in DNA and that it codes for specific functions.
Wait,
and
do you grant that mathematical
information-
objects exist? Before we pivot to DNA, let's finish out this conversation because mathematical objects actually disprove God. So do you think mathematical objects exist? Would you grant that?
Mathematical objects, isn't that a contradiction?
No?
Is
How
that-
would it be?
Is it? Are you saying that like the number 7 exists independent? I'm not an idealist, so I don't believe that.
I'm a
holist,
Platonist.
so I believe that something like Yeah, I got it. So I don't hold to idealism. I don't believe that 7 exists.
Okay, so you don't
independent
think
of
that
anything
numbers
else,
actually exist?
in reality.
So you don't believe in like transcendental
No, I believe they
categories like
exist, but I
numbers?
think
Or?
they're. No, I do. I believe they exist, but I think they're justified in the existence of God. I think they're rooted in God. So
In what way?
I don't think they exist independent.
But in what way are they like rooted in
in the
it?
way that they're like in the same way that C.S. Lewis points it out, to where it's like, I don't believe in the sun because I can see it, but by everything else I can see it. So I think they're epistemologically it's dependent on a being like God. Then I think the only being that could qualify for that category is the God of the Bible.
But in what way does God ground numbers? How does he do that?
I think that that same exact question, I could ask that question for like, what is energy? What is the positive or negative charge
Don't do
of
it.
the particle? To where
Don't
it's
do
like,
it.
You totally could. It's just that would be a pivot. It kind of sounds like you don't really have like a good foundation for numbers or mathematical objects in general.
No,
I'm unclear as to how God grounds them.
It's because it's the only being that could ground them is the God that's described in the Bible. That's my argument.
Yeah, how does he do that?
Maybe we can just clarify what do you mean by ground?
They're justified in them to where it's like their origin is the mind of God. That's what I'm saying.
You think they have an origin? Prior to the origin of numbers, how many gods were there?
Prior to the origin, well, I'm saying origin as in like not that they didn't exist at some point, but that they're rooted in God that's eternal. That's what I'm maybe origin if you're getting into semantics.
So
I mean,
but what do you mean by rooted in?
Like not my
there are
point.
There are a few different notions of like grounding that you could talk about. Like you could talk about like part whole relationships. So you would say that like the the hydrogen and the oxygen molecules or atoms, they provide a grounding for water to exist because water is made of hydrogen and oxygen. Or you could talk about like grounding of relationships between like an object grounds the facts about that object. Or you could talk about like some sort of like I guess a logical grounding where you have a set of axioms and you deduce some other truth from those axioms. But like it's just not clear what you mean by grounding here. Like in what sense are you using the word?
I guess you're asking me to do tag, and that's not really what I came on here to do. I'm saying that it's just more. It's more me being a holist. There's a lot of categories that are transcendental that I find a better explanation for them being derived from God's existence rather than having to independently explain them each epistemologically independent of each other.
I'm not sure that you understand like the circumstance that you're in. I'm running like a reverse transcendental argument against God. Like that's what's happening right now. I'm saying that your worldview can't account for these things.
That wasn't my argument.
I'm trying to I'm trying to get your account of this right now. We're currently engaged in a transcendental argument that I'm running against your view.
Okay, yeah. I mean, when you say
so
what is
how
the
does
meaning
in
of
what way
something
does
being
God ground them? How does that work?
In his being, I don't know
how.
If you're
how does that work?
Completely. I mean, I couldn't tell you, but that wasn't my argument.
Oh, okay. So then it sounds like your worldview doesn't really account for things like math. Or I guess like we could do an even more fun one. How does God account for logic? Like how does that work?
I would say that it's justified by God's existence, but
How?
I don't think that. How is something justified?
How is logic justified by God's existence?
That's why I brought up things like gravity and energy and positive charge, is that at some point there is going to be a circular axiom. I'm saying that circular axiom is the most logical thing is for it to be God, not just a bunch of independent factors that you have to independently justify like these transcendental arguments. That's my argument. I don't know if you understand tag, and that's my understanding of tag, which I'm not running tag. That wasn't my intention.
No, I know. I'm running tag against you. It sounds like your worldview is actually not capable of accounting for these things. Do you have like some sort of argument that would establish that God is the grounding for these things? Because like, for example, I can present the argument that difference is the grounding for logic, I could present the argument that mathematics have necessary existence. I could present the argument for all of my views.
Yeah, but when you say that,
Do you
when you
are
say
you
that,
capable of
but that
presenting an argument that establishes like the existence or like the truth that God is the grounding of these things, or is it just like a brute assertion? You just say like God does it.
well, I would offer a defeater, and then I would posit. If I just offered the defeater of your worldview, I don't think it wouldn't hold any grounds for my worldview. But then if I offer the positive, which is God being the justification, I mean that's my argument. My defeater would be what?
But how?
What
Like justify
sort of
that.
the grounding for logic? What tells you that the fundamental whatever is different? Like what is telling you that there is difference between two things?
Well, just
Like, why
difference
can't they be
exists
the same, I
necessarily.
guess?
Like it must exist. If it didn't exist, then non-existence would
why?
exist, which means that a fact would exist, which means existence would exist. So you would have existence and non-existence, two things distinct from each other. The not operator just follows trivially, and then, from there
Wouldn't that be
we have
presupposing
that
induction?
something is not another thing. No, it doesn't. There was no induction used.
How did you not just presuppose? How? You just said that existence has. If existence exists, then non-existence would have to exist,
Well, if
and that's a contradiction. But aren't you?
if
How are you not
nothing
using induction then?
existed, then there would be the fact that nothing existed. So then you would have facts that
But why do you know
exist,
that
which
fact?
means that
That's
you would
the
have a
question.
thing that exists and a thing that doesn't exist. So you would have these two things
But that's
distinct
the
from each
problem. But
other
you-
in properties, which means that you
But
would
you're
then
trying to
just
use
trivially
tag
have
against me, but
logic
then
from there.
But you don't just realize that you're using induction, so you would have to justify induction.
Where's the induction?
Because
What do you-
you're saying that
What do you think induction is?
induction is that you're using the past to justify the future.
How?
Because you're using. Because you're just saying that if existence exists, say that again. You said existence exists, then
so let's say
existed-
nothing existed, then there would still be the fact that nothing existed, which means that fact would exist, so we would have existence and non-existence. Two things that are distinct, where
I guess I
existence
don't
is
know-
not
I don't know.
non-existence, non-existence is not existence.
And that would be your justification for two things being different? That
Yeah,
they have
that
to be
difference is
different, or that they-
necessary.
But when you say existence, what is your definition of existence?
It's like a
Because
pretty
you
brute,
just
right?
invoked
It's just like
another
the things that are real, like.
Okay, so there's existence and logic now. So you just proposed another.
Well, I
You
think
see what I
that
mean?
existence
And
is going to be like
this
a
is
pretty
the-
brute property.
So existence and logic are two brute properties now. So you
I
have
think
to
it's not
justify
that it's a
the-
brute fact. It's just that it's like kind of hard to define it. If what you're looking for is a definition,
Well, yeah.
It's a primitive,
you can
generally.
like
right?
justify the existence of it. You can give explanations for why existence exists, why it must exist, why
Right,
it
and
is
my
necessary
argument-
existence. But I mean, what you're doing is like kind of a bait and switch from well, how do you define it, to and then pretending like the question was, well, why does it exist? If you're asking like, how do I define it? Well, the definition is going to be pretty brute. There's not much I can give you other than like synonyms for the word like existence. If you don't know what that word means, there's not much that I can do to help you. But
that's
in
your
terms of
argument,
like
that's
why
not my
existence
argument. You're
exists,
arguing.
it's because certain things have necessary existence.
Okay, certain things have necessary existence. Yeah, and then that's the power of tag is that I don't know why you're doing tag against me, but that wasn't my.
Because your worldview is
I was
incapable
just-
of
I'm
grounding
pointing out that-
things.
Yeah, but you defeated yourself because you're trying to explain logic, but then you're presupposing existence.
Sorry, wait, what's the argument that I was making and how does it defeat itself?
Okay, so you're saying that things are necessarily have to be different because either existence, something has to exist, or it has to not exist. So then you would make a difference between existence and non-existence. Then you just presupposed existence.
No, I didn't.
You don't. Are you not?
In
seeing
order
what-
for I didn't
How?
presuppose it, I proved it. In a world where nothing exists, it's true that nothing exists. which means that something exists, namely truth.
But do you not see how the transcendental argument you just cut yourself with the transcendental argument
No.
because you're trying to justify
What's
you're
the
trying to justify
contradiction?
logic. Dude, you're trying to justify logic and then you just presupposed something outside
I think you
of
might be a
logic.
bit lost in the conversation. What I'm doing is proving that existence must exist necessarily, that there are things with necessary existence. That wasn't a justification for logic, that was a justification for existence. If you want the justification for logic, which I'm happy to give you, it's just that the denial of logic would presuppose it, which means that it's a transcendental necessity.
No, because you just said that the difference between two things, you were using that to justify logic. That's your
Metaphysically
argument.
give an
It's not my
explanation
argument.
for it, not justify it. Give an explanation for it. And this is like kind
An
of like the fatal
explanation
flaw
for-
of all presuppositionalists is that they just kind of don't know very much about philosophy. But there's kind of a distinction between two things here. We got like the metaphysical stuff, grounding, explanations, and then we got the epistemic stuff, justifications. So you
I
were
wasn't
getting
trying to
an
presuppose,
explanation
though,
for
that-
these things, and then you switched it from a metaphysical explanation to an epistemic justification.
Yeah, but you're presupping me. I brought up tag because I think that it touches on something that the argument that I want to make. I wasn't trying to do tag. You're doing tag on me. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
am. Yeah,
Kant.
certainly. Because your
I'd-
worldview
I'd-
just
I'm
isn't
familiar
capable of
with
accounting
Kant.
for logic. Like, you can't give the explanation of where logic comes from.
That wasn't my argument though.
But I'm asking you, what's
My
your
argument is
justification
that-
for
that-
it?
To be clear, Laptop, what's happening is not that Ian is trying to refute your argument. What's happening is that Ian is making an argument and asking you for a rebuttal if you can offer one.
Yeah, I mean, I already answered your question. It's God, and then you asked.
But
why,
how? How does he
and
do
then-
that?
But how
In
does
what
God
way?
justify logic? It's justified in his existence.
How?
How is God? I see.
How does that happen?
It's a circular axiom at the very core of literally the top.
It's not
metaphysical
circular on my
questions you
view.
can ask.
I guess that's just why my paradigm is superior to yours, is because it's not circular on my view.
I think it is circular though at the axiom level, because you're saying that is logic not circular at an axiom level? You're really going to say that?
I'm not sure why it would be.
I mean, okay, I'm not a tag expert, so I guess I don't know the philosophy jiu-jitsu to play, but from what
Okay.
I understand is that all these transcendental art categories at the axiom level, they kind of have to be circular, but the tag argument is that instead of them being circular at every axiom point for each independent transcendental category, we presuppose God's existence, the God of the Bible, and that's what roots them all as a holist view. That's my belief. So if you want to ask how does God root them, I don't know what you're asking, honestly, because I just explained what I meant. You know what I mean? So if you want to say how,
Yeah, go
that's
for it,
like,
Blitz.
So what kind of grounding relation is it? Is it like a logical grounding relation? Is there some like derivable features of, logic and numbers and truth and all of these things given some set of axioms that you're starting from? Is it like a constitutive grounding relation? Like what so the argument that Ian is presenting grounds logic in a logical way. It sounds circular, but Ian grounds logic by showing that the contrary is impossible.
There's like more fundamental categories, right? Like the law of non-contradiction is grounded in more fundamental logical truths, like just like the not operator, the and operator.
So the question is, in what sense does God ground it? What sense of the word
the
ground?
sense that God grounds it. Can I ask a qualifier question?
Yeah, sure.
It's like in mathematics, would you say that is mathematics is the non-physical primary, or is the physical primary as far as explaining mathematics?
I don't know what that question is asking. I think the
Like,
physical is identical to the mathematical.
So you don't believe that mathematics is immaterial?
I think the distinction is a confused one. I think that at the core of our reality is a mathematical object, that our reality is a mathematical object.
So you don't believe in the immaterial, but you said you're a Neoplatonist. So that's that.
I
I
kind of reject
what
the
I'm saying.
distinction, I guess.
So that everything is, you are a naturalist? Is that what you're saying now? So I'm confused.
Depends how you'd classify. I think I'd probably classify myself that way. If we include like mathematics as being like a naturalist thing, then yeah.
Okay, so when you see
what?
Oh no,
I don't understand how this is answering the question, which was, in what sense of the word grounding does God ground things like logic?
So maybe an
because
example would be helpful. So for example, let's take something that's grounded in something else. The fact that there exists an even prime number is grounded in the fact that 2 exists, and that 2 is even and 2 is prime. Like, these facts are the grounding for the other one, and it just follows from them. It's not like a brute relation. It's not like, well, anything can just ground anything, which is why it's like completely unclear how God is the grounding for logic or mathematics, like how he does that. Whereas you could explain how these 3 facts about like 2 exists, 2 is prime, 2 is even, how that would ground the fact that there exists an even prime number. It's not clear how God grounds like laws of logic or mathematics.
You can also say that
all I would have to do is offer.
I was just going to say there are other notions of grounding that you can offer. For example, you could say that, and this is the one that I typically would give, which is that water existing is grounded by hydrogen and oxygen existing, because water is composed of those things. So just by the fact that hydrogen and oxygen exist, that's what allows water to exist. Otherwise, you wouldn't have water if those things didn't exist. So that's another kind of grounding that you can have.
Right. Yeah, but we're talking about metaphysical claims, and I think that's why I asked about the relations between mathematics and the physical, because if mathematics is contingent on the description of something physical, that's what my question was. Or what's primary? Is it the because you said that the universe is mathematical at its core or whatever. So
yep.
Is it contingent on the physical, or is the physical a derivative of the mathematics?
I think the physical is mathematical.
That's my.
I think these things are the same. Like, I think I'd probably say like the physical is a subset of the mathematical. Maybe that's how I'd say it.
Right. So then, within your worldview, something immaterial or spirit couldn't possibly exist. So when you say God isn't real, it can't be real according to your worldview. So there isn't evidence to provide that he would exist. Because I would say that information is your view that information is material or immaterial.
It depends what you mean by information. There's like one definition of information that's like meaning, and there's like a different definition of information that's like, like an input into a function. I think that inputs into functions can be like physical. I don't or it could be not. I think both can be physical actually. But I think like inputs into functions can be, this can arrive from something other than a mind. I don't think like meaning could arrive from something other than a mind. But I would reject, and I'll, acknowledging that this is a pivot, I'll allow the pivot because I feel like we've kind of like ran through the rest of the argument previously. But I think
my original argument is that. Oh.
No, go for it.
My bad. No, I'm just saying my original argument is that the information present in DNA is the proof that there was a mind behind our creation, because anytime you see somatic information, it's derivative from a mind. But I would argue that the mind is immaterial. But if your worldview doesn't say that there's anything that could possibly be immaterial, I guess I don't know where to go from there, because
so
I think we're talking past each other.
if you presented evidence for something immaterial, then I would simply update my worldview, right? Like you could come in and give like the most killer argument for like the resurrection, and if the evidence was like simply bulletproof, well, at that point, I would just start believing in supernatural things. Like if you established to me that the
Interesting.
resurrection happened, I would probably just become a Christian. And at that point, I would just believe supernatural things. So my worldview has like a current form where God doesn't exist, and then it's like open to evidence to the contrary.
I was just curious. I'm curious more what Dr. Blitzkit said or believes, because Ian, when I talked to you last, I thought you conceded that mathematics was immaterial and that it was primary to the physical. But now you're saying
Well,
that
I just
they're
think the
kind of
distinction
both the
is
same.
confused. The distinction is like a weird
Well, if
one
they're
in
the
my
same, then
worldview.
mathematics isn't.
Because I don't, in a sense, the world is mathematical, so it kind of just depends what we mean by physical. Like, I think all the laws of physics and the universe itself are contained within the set of all mathematical things.
Well, in my worldview, God is both immaterial, as in the Father, the mind, but then there's uncreated physical that would be God's presence or essence. But I don't know how you get there on your worldview that they're both the same thing. I don't
Sorry,
I don't really
what's both
understand
the
that.
same thing?
That you're saying mathematics is intrinsically tied to the physical, but they're somehow distinct. I don't.
To be clear,
I don't
Ian's
know,
position,
'cause you said
Ian's
that-
position is merely that everything is mathematical, that physical things are merely just a type of mathematical thing.
Mm-hmm. So maybe
I
I
know,
would
but
say
when you
that
say
like the
everything
idea
is
that
mathematical-
they're like that like the mathematical is non-physical is not strictly true. Maybe that's what I want to say.
And friends,
Whoa, your fucking audio quality got horrendous, Justin.
What is it,
I think I'm rubbing
2024?
off on you.
We can't hear you now.
Right. Okay, better. Sorry, I was muted. I hate to cut the conversation short, but we have an endpoint at 3:00, and I don't
Me
know if
too.
we want to start another trail in this conversation because I
No,
think
we should
we're-
end it here and go over some super chats. I have to get a hot dog.
But Laptop, thanks for coming up and chatting
No,
with
you're
us
good, boys.
again. I think we've all seen you before, and usually you present some interesting conversation for us. So thanks for coming up.
No, I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a good
Thanks
one.
for being here.
No,
Cheers,
you.
friend.
All right, peace.
All right, friends, we got some super chats. We're going to read out the super chats before we leave, but thank you so much for being here. We love and appreciate all you. Isolde and
Isolde? That's like it's like a character from Isolde, I think is how it's pronounced, from King Arthur.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
What
Anyways,
a nerd.
Thank you for the super chat. It says a lady on TikTok has been experimenting, calling churches, playing a crying baby sound, begging for help to buy a can of formula.
I've seen this.
Almost all said, I wish I had seen
It's
this.
crazy.
Sounds
This is
amazing.
crazy.
It's so funny.
If
Yeah,
you
because
guys
she'll
see
hit
one of
him with
them-
it. She'll be like, "By the way, this was all a social experiment," and then the people on the other line are like, "I don't know what you want me to say."
That's crazy. I mean, we would have just took them to the store to get formula. I don't know it, but I get it. There's a lot of churches that they would immediately just say no to this kind of stuff. Those aren't the type of churches you should go to. If your church shows up on this list, people stop going to that church. There are decent churches that will buy you baby formula, I promise. But anyways,
Yeah.
it's a good proof though that God's people aren't getting any revelation from God. That's for sure. Laura says Ian argued that U.S. government buys surplus dairy, minimizing the impact of going vegan. Vegans reduce the demand for animal exploitation, even for the U.S. stock. Well, that's the problem.
But the argument is specifically when you dig into the economic data, it doesn't seem like a decrease in demand or that the dairy industry and the meat industry are the types of things that respond to a decrease in demand because the demand gets substituted by things like the state just buying it up.
Right. And the other thing too is remember the stuff that farmers produce here isn't always used in the U.S. We ship it to Mexico, Canada. We ship it to all kinds of countries. So it's like even if U.S. demand dipped, it would need to be some sort of a global effort before there was some sort
What
of
are you telling me
effect
that
on
if
it.
everybody went vegan, then nobody would be harming animals anymore?
Probably if everyone went
Crazy.
vegan, that would probably do something. But like currently, my understanding of the economic data is that as it stands right now, going vegan probably hasn't changed a whole lot
For now.
for now.
All right.
Which is not to say that it isn't like literally like an insane moral atrocity what happens in factory farms. I'm sorry, Justin, please continue.
No, it's okay. Miko says, I don't have anything clever or related to the topic to say on Super Chat. It's okay. But it never stopped me before. Anyways, just here to support. Keep on keeping on. Well, thank you, Miko. We appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Keep on keeping on. And life's a garden. Dig it. Aaron, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Good to see you again. Says daily reminder, a bald ass assertion, aka a pre-sup, is not an argument. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Zero premise argument, thus the conclusion.
That's basically it. And Kay, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. It says, question for Justin in number 3117. How old would these girls be that God says to take for yourselves? And does take for yourselves mean grape/marriage? Does the Hebrew say mean something different? So it's a bit nuanced, but the reality is they're referred to earlier in the passage using the word taf, is hataf, the children. It's a collective noun. And it just refers basically to somebody under the age of 12 or 13. So it's a kind of a generic term, but we know what it means. There's an age range there. So most of them probably would have been 13 or 12 or under, and what they would have been given some to serve in the temple or the tabernacle at the time, but most of them were actually just given to the warriors. It says they were handed out to the warriors. The reality is they would have been underage war brides. Was that normal for the time period? Yeah, it happened all the time. And I know there are Christians who say, well, yeah, well, they would have been betrothed, and then when they came of age, when they were 13, then they would have consummated the marriage. But the reality is that's only true when the girl is like living in somebody else's household. When you kidnap a 10-year-old in war and she becomes your war bride, there's no period of betrothal. She goes to live in your house, and then she does what you tell her to do. So were they making war brides of little girls and raping them? Yeah. That's what happened. There's no logical conclusion to the contrary. That's the only thing you can get from the passage. Most commentaries say that. Most commentators would say they were either concubines, wives, or slaves at that point. But they were not being held in safety until they turned 13. That didn't happen. Bryce Aroni, thank you for the super chat, my friend, says, if God doesn't exist, then God cannot be the grounding for anything. God grounding logic cannot be used as a premise in an argument to prove God's existence. That's begging the question. And then he concedes his circularity. I agree. We would call that begging the question, I would imagine. It's kind of interesting to me that most of the people who bring the precept arguments kind of know that their argument is inherently circular and or begging the question. But then
it's like my circle's better than yours.
Yeah, they want to argue based on philosophical premises, but it's like, but they know their argument's broken from the start. Why do they even attempt it? I don't get it.
Yeah. Also, like, okay, I'm sorry. I know you have to get going, but I do think like one thing that's very funny is that when pushed on the argument, it turned from an argument about like necessary preconditions into an argument about like, well, my worldview is like more parsimonious. You know, you need to posit all of these things, but I only have to posit the one thing. It's like, are we doing like evidential arguments? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that is certainly the case. Yeah, I think we all agree with you, Bryce Aroni. And Outwitted by Fish, thank you for the super chat. It says, absent a mind to understand it, is logic even possible? Is not logic or math or science an attempt to describe observable reality? No mind, no observation. And I feel like we might get multiple answers depending on who you ask
yes.
on the board.
The answer is yes. Next question.
Yep, it's a hotly contested issue.
The answer is obviously yes. Everybody else is wrong.
We won't be solving the problem today. Sean F., thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the 10 Canuck bucks. Says, all I'm hearing is word salad. Word salad, word salad, therefore God exists. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't Philbro God into existence. How about I just have God show up to settle this debate. Wouldn't that be like convenient if he just actually, or it just showed up? It could
Yep.
do it if it was all powerful.
Bro, we would look like such stupid assholes if like one day God just like showed up.
What are you talking about? We'd be prophets. We would be like holy figures.
Yeah, we would be the next televangelists.
Yeah, if you
God
exist,
spoke
then
to
why
us.
do kids get cancer? We'd
And
be
then
running
just like God
problems
shows
from
up all the
evil.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has
it like
he
a
can find the
regular?
time in his schedule to make an appearance on Unapologetic, but he can't find time to save all those starving children.
We could just blow the wind of God on them like they did with COVID and make COVID disappear. That worked really well. No Ganot, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, could we get Justin and Ian to hash out the whole objective morals thing on a live at some point?
One
I would
day,
love
one
to
day.
have a deeper understanding of each side. I
I
mean,
might be talking to Lance Bush soon.
okay.
Oh, that'd be
If
fun.
anyone knows, yeah. He reached out to me. He saw an Unapologetic clip and he wanted to talk to me about it. So I might do some reading up on that and then I'll maybe have a chat with him.
Yeah, I mean, like the disagreement on this particular topic for me, like I don't know if it's exciting for me to debate it because I'm not that invested in it because, like, to be fair, having an objective moral stance gives you a better hand at debates when you're debating with theists because they think they have objective morals when they don't. So if there was an argument that convinced me of objective morals in the same way that it convinces Ian, I would love to have that. It just happens to be that currently we're on different pages there, and that's okay. It's not that I'm wrong or he's wrong or one of us is right. It's just that we just happen to not
It's
see
that
eye to
everybody's
eye
confused.
Well, look
on
at
this
Justin
particular
denying the law of
issue.
excluded middle. No, I'm sorry, but okay. Fuck, I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
It's okay, we have
I don't
another
think that
super
there's-
chat.
I don't think that there's anything intrinsically wrong with like subjective morals. Like I don't think that there's like a contradiction. I think all of the critiques of subjective morals are quite frankly dog shit. But you know, like all of this, oh, so you think you're fine with XYZ atrocity. And it's like, no, that's not what moral subjectivism says at all. That's not the view. But I think that if like moral realism, like moral objectivism ends up being true, it's because there's like some sort of like successful argument for it. I don't think it's because there's like an absurdity present in subjective ethics.
Right. Fair enough. Either way, I wouldn't expect us to debate it out anytime soon. But thanks for the super chat. And last one from Loro says, even the U.S. government has an upper bound on how much dairy they can stock. Lower demand would lower their purchases. TYSM.
Thank you so much.
for what you. I didn't know that. No, thanks so much for what you do. Rock on for Doug. Well, thank you, Laura. We appreciate it. We thank you for supporting the channel. And with that, friends, we really appreciate everyone being here. Big W for liking and sharing and subbing and commenting and supering. It really does.
Oh, and
mean
go
the world.
subscribe to my second channel.
Yep. And while we're plugging shit, I'm
Indeed.
going live on Allegedly Ian.
Hell yeah. All right. Everyone over to Ian's place. We'll see you again next week. Thank you so much.